Hello and welcome. I'm TJ Walker. Thanks for joining me today. We are live. It is Wednesday, March 13th, 2024. I'm coming to you live from South Florida here in the United States, but talking to folks all over the world who want to be more successful in every aspect of life so that they can communicate. Now, we're doing something a little different today. I'm talking to you live here on StreamYard, but I'm also talking to our friends on our TikTok account. So if you're watching this on TikTok, we're just doing a quick check. So Ben, are you able to hear? My colleague Ben is with us. And Ben, are you able to hear me on TikTok?
This on TikTok.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, great. And go ahead and hit mute again. That's great. All right. So if you're joining us on TikTok, and I see a couple of folks saying hello, really glad you're here. Callaway's here. Thanks so much for joining us. And I see Convergent Networks has joined. Several other friends, Nuvata, have joined. Special hello to those of you on TikTok. I am TJ Walker, and this channel is devoted to helping you become more successful in your personal life and your business life by being a more effective communicator as well as a more confident communicator. Now, today we're doing something a little bit different. I'm talking to my audience on YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitch, Facebook, and a handful of other sites through our regular stream. And our folks on TikTok, since this is the first time I've done live streaming in quite a while on TikTok, TikTok has a rule where you have to specifically live stream just on your cell phone. So we're doing that a little bit differently for today. If you're joining me on TikTok and you want to be able to ask questions, it's going to be a little easier if you switch over to our YouTube page. And that's TJ Walker Success. The other thing is, if you're joining me on TikTok, you can actually join me right here on screen and we can have a dialogue. You can ask your questions. You can demonstrate a presentation or a speech as well. So that's something we do every single day here, typically 9 a.m. to noon Eastern time here in the United States. It's basically a workshop on how you can be more effective in your communication skills, to build confidence, to build your skills so that you are effective anytime, whether you're speaking in a job interview one-on-one, whether you are giving a briefing or a presentation to 3 colleagues, whether you're having to stand up and pitch your business idea to venture capitalists or investors or a board of directors, or whether you're up on stage and speaking to people with 10,000 in the audience. It's really about every one of those presentation opportunities. Now, this is a fairly unscripted show, so I stop pretty much instantly and answer your questions. If you have any questions about presentation skills, communication skills, the body language of how to communicate, how to improve your voice, common mistakes to avoid, then this is the place for you. Now, if you're a regular on TikTok, you may have already noticed I typically post 2 short videos, less than 60 seconds a day, and 1 long one. We're going to start as of tomorrow, live streaming for 3 hours a day, typically, right here on TikTok. And that way you can join our friends on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and a lot of other places, YouTube, where we stream live every single day. And those of you who are joining me live on our YouTube channel, thanks so much. As always, we're available if you want to come and join me live on screen. So my colleague Ben, in my name, will post the link in the StreamYard comments, which should filter out across social media. And that way you can join me live in the green room. I add you, I click a button, and your face appears next to mine. So it's not just Guru TJ lecturing for 3 hours all day long. No, we're interactive here. We let people not just ask questions, but come on stage and give their own demonstrations if they want to. You can be in the hot seat and practice an investment pitch if you want. You can practice what you want to say in a job interview for tomorrow, and there's no pressure because the stakes are low. It's just an environment, a community for people who want to build skills in communication, give feedback,
help each other. And I love Toastmasters. This is not a knock on Toastmasters, but it's a little more convenient than Toastmasters because we're right here live every single day from 9 to noon. So that's what we're all about. We'll be signing off a little bit earlier on TikTok because there's special requirements for TikTok in the first time you've done live in a while. So that's why we're here. But I do want to say hello to Nick. Avita has joined us. Cool Dad is with us. Jaybird. So many great friends on TikTok today. Really happy you're joining us. So thanks so much. If you would like to post questions, I will attempt to look at your questions posted on TikTok. We always give precedence to and priority to any live person who shows up with questions. You can also post your questions on the community tab of my YouTube channel, and that will be right. Now I'm getting a message saying swipe right to get messages. So I'm kind of learning, and note to all my friends on YouTube and other places, I'm doing something new today. I'm trying to simulcast with you, but we've added a live stream from TikTok today, and we have to do it through a separate system. So I'm talking to the folks on TikTok on my cell phone, which is about 6 inches away from camera number 3 where I'm speaking to you right now. So that's why you see me being a little uncharacteristically shifty-eyed, because normally I'm either looking at you here or from camera 1 or off, not looking at camera from camera 2. So Renuka's joined us, Bozar, Carm, Ben is with us, Shania, Reach Boy, After the Before, American has joined us, Brian Payne, Vlad is here, Josh is here, LDK man, Orion, Yellen Fink, HS Judd, Zach is with us. So I want to say a special hello to all of you who've joined us today. This is the first time I've gone live on TikTok in a number of years. So if you're saying, well, who is this guy? How did this pop up? It's probably because you have subscribed to my channel, which is TJ Walker Success on TikTok and other social media. This is the channel where we get together and focus on building communication skills, how to communicate in your personal life, in your professional life, how to speak to one person one-on-one, how to speak in a job interview, how to give a business presentation, how to speak in front of a video camera, as we're doing right now. Doesn't matter if it's your own TikTok video account or if you're going on CNN or the BBC. So that's what we're all about, is building confidence and skill in the area of communication. And I see Svetlana is with us, Amarilla is with us, Mike, Adam, William, Kelly, Travito. So some of you watching on YouTube and LinkedIn saying, wow, it seems like TikTok is a really popular place. Should we just do everything on TikTok? Here's what I think is going on. All social media platforms have an incentive to get people on creating content and making new content, especially live content. It's so-called stickier, more engaging. So I have found, whether it's TikTok, whether it's YouTube, whether it's LinkedIn, anytime you're doing something new or for the first time in a long time, that platform gives you extra eyeballs. They give you extra attention because they think, oh, let's give this person a little encouragement. So right now, since this is the first time I've gone on TikTok in quite a while, TikTok is nice enough to sort of send out a notification to most of my followers, or maybe all of them. There are about 12,000 followers. So I see Miho has joined us, Kiss My Cakes has joined us, Mickey Wendell, Tanner, Wiley, Delio, The Good Chef, Gina, Systemic. All of you, I'm really happy you're here. Now, I'm not even sure if I'm in the right place, but if you have a question that relates to communication skills, please let me know, and I'll be happy to answer it at length. As I mentioned earlier, if you would like to be a part of the conversation and not just watch, if you go to my YouTube channel and go to the community tab, we actually post where you can click into StreamYard and you can join me. You'll see me and you on screen at the same time. Your voice will be heard, and it's not just TJ here lecturing. My colleague Ben has posted the link to StreamYard, so that's how we can connect. I also have a private chat. Every once in a while, someone wants to ask a question. Oh, Barb is saying there's something wrong with the audio. And Ben, are you able to hear my audio? Barb, if you could elaborate, because sometimes my earpiece can mess it up. Let me check our settings, actually. You know what? We were so quick to start things today. Apologies. I'm on the wrong microphone. We're going to H5. That should do it. So, Barb, thanks for catching that. Now, it should be exactly the same for our friends on TikTok. But, Barb, if you could let me know if that is the right audio. What was happening is it was pulling from the itty bitty tiny microphone in this earpiece I'm using, because I'd switched to this earpiece so that when we do have calls or interviews, I don't have sound blaring out through a speakers into the microphone and causing a feedback loop and echo and distortion. So our friends joining us on TikTok for the first time, that's a perfect example of the kind of practical, tactical tips we deal with here. Because if you're speaking to people through Zoom or you're doing a webinar, you need to worry about every one of these little details, because you can spend a lot of time having a nice looking set and putting on makeup and lighting. If you have no microphone, or if you have picked the wrong microphone and you didn't check your settings, then you have destroyed quite often your ability to communicate effectively. So I try to demonstrate best practices at all times. But the other thing I try to do is be transparent with you. So when I make a mistake, when I make a blunder, as I just did, we can talk about it and make it a learning moment. So let's do that right now. I made a fundamental blunder. I was trying to do too many things at once. I was doing something new today, hooking up my cell phone on a tripod, angling it the right way, trying to get it close enough to my regular camera. And because of all those additional technical requirements today, I didn't do my normal due diligence, which is not only making sure the audio settings for my computer go to this earpiece and the audio settings for my StreamYard go to this, but I didn't do the final step, which was to make sure the audio settings for my microphone are going from my main Sennheiser microphone here and not using the microphone from an inexpensive earbud. So that's my mistake. And the learning message there is you've got to give yourself time. Now, some more comments have come in. Shreya says audio is not clear. I understand exactly why. Usually your audio is clear. Now it's muffled and not clear. Barb said there's still a bit of static on YouTube. And I've switched the audio. Is this any better now? Because I think I have it. Let me check the settings one more time. But I believe I have the settings on the correct feed. The microphone, I'm getting the regular notations and the movement saying I am on the right one. And that's the only H5. And this is the Sennheiser H5 mic. So I believe everything is good there. And the only other solution is to possibly, okay, Hugo has just stepped in and says, good morning, TJ. The audio sounds clear to me. So I hope that means I've set up the problem. But Barb, thanks so much for pointing that out. And Ben, let's make a note to check both audio feeds when we are on different platforms like that, because it is sometimes difficult to do that. I see Badger has joined us on TikTok today. Angela, Longtick, Todd Bell, Tony, David, Mike, Dale, FC has joined us on TikTok. A special hello to all of our new friends on TikTok today. We are coming to you live for the first time in quite a while, probably 4 years since I've gone live on TikTok. And it's not because I don't love you as much as any other platform. Every platform is a little bit different. Every platform gets to decide the rules of how people interact with them. And TikTok is, like all platforms, a little bit jealous of its time and attention, and it wants you to be on just them. So what I'm doing now, and my friends on YouTube and LinkedIn and Twitch know this, is I'm using a system called StreamYard that allows me at the very same time to stream to multiple platforms. And with a lot of these platforms, YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, all you have to do is get the link once. You set it up in StreamYard, you push a button, and it automatically goes there. TikTok is a little bit different, and that they want you to sort of, I guess, prove your allegiance to them by streaming just to them on your cell phone the first time. And then after that, I believe you can, with a push of a button, go, or you have to set up a key. And there's a technical term for that key, and I forgot what it is. We also have just started broadcasting on Instagram. And Instagram, same company as Facebook, obviously, they have additional hurdles for going on Instagram Live, where you have to create a separate key and a code and put it in, which we're happy to do. My goal is to help as many people as possible around the world become more effective at speaking. Christian writes in and says, OG Walker, I guess old guard, is that what it means? Well, my family wouldn't disagree. They do like to call me old. So I appreciate you stopping by. Ben says audio is good on YouTube now. So apologies for that opening blunder. Now, normally what I do is I go to different camera angles. And for our friends on TikTok, out of respect to them, I'm just going to stay on camera 3 for a while because so many of our TikTok friends have joined us and I can't switch cameras for them. So I have just one angle there. Now, here's what I don't know, and maybe someone can leave a comment. I don't know if, as I'm getting message after message of people joining us on TikTok. Larry Pickles has joined us. Renee Lynn has joined us. Sonia has joined us. What I don't know is there a place where people are leaving questions or comments and I'm not seeing it, or is it just that nobody's leaving questions or comments? So if anyone can enlighten me on that, we're kind of learning as we're going. Now, a case could be made is that I should have done a test with this with 2 people first to check it out. And we could do that. But one of the guiding principles of this show, and I'll let our TikTok friends know, is I'm being transparent with you. This is not a regular show of sorts. This is bringing you into my workshop as a content creator. So I make my live videos, well, obvious live video. I make recorded short form videos here. I make long form videos here. And I will do it right in front of you so you can see how a content creator actually makes videos. You see the mistakes, you see the stumbles. You'll see me say, oops, that's not what I meant. Timeout, note to editor, edit that out. And then I keep going. You'll see the occasional stumble. You might see a stutter. I stop, I back up, and I just start again from the previous sentence so that I've got something easy to edit. So that's what we do here. And now I'm seeing comments. Pinstripe suits went out at least 10 years ago, my guy. Okay, now this is a very subtle pinstripe. And that is the first comment. Let's just take this as a learning moment. You are going to get feedback if you make content online. And you're going to get criticism. There's no doubt about it. I urge you, listen to all criticism, but don't necessarily react to all criticism. Don't let it bother you. Don't necessarily change things. This suit is not 10 years old, my friend. This suit is 20 years old, believe it or not. But I like the way it feels. I like the fabric. It was handmade for me by a tailor in London. And I'm comfortable with it. Tens and tens of thousands, at this point, hundreds of thousands of people have seen it. And, oh, I've got an invitation. Someone wants to join me live. So let's see if we're doing that. Okay. Okay, we have a friend joining us. How are you today? Okay, so and apologies to our friends watching on YouTube. I have a friend joining us on TikTok right now who wants to ask a question. And I have an earpiece in. I have a plug for my microphone. So I don't know. I apologize. I can't hear you. Let me make sure I have all my settings through. Now I can hear you. Great. I didn't hear anything you said before, but if you could please share. Okay, and I apologize, but I do only speak English. Okay, great. Well, so happy to have you. And we have a lot of friends and a lot of... Okay. So we have a lot of folks joining us from Pakistan. We appreciate that. But thanks so much for joining us. And do, please come back. I do appreciate it. And I can't quite make out what you're saying, but do appreciate it. And folks watching here, this is an experiment. We're doing sort of a combination today of we're going live on TikTok for the first time on my phone, and I'm simulcasting with you here. So here's what I don't know, and Ben, if you can help me out. Our colleagues from Pakistan very much appreciate you being here, but we got to go to the next segment, and I'm having some audio problems. But what I don't know is how I can remove someone from screen. And again, I want you to stay, but I can't quite get the audio. So Ben, do you have any idea how I can, again, politely, we want you to stay watching, but I'm going to need to take you off the screen right now. If anyone else is familiar with TikTok, if you actually want to share in the chat, there we go. Great. And again, to our friends in Pakistan, very happy that you joined us. We have a lot of regulars from Pakistan. There is such a strong community of people there who believe in personal development, believe in improving themselves and being a good communicator. So very much appreciate it. Famo writes, started following you. If you follow them back, you can go live together again. Okay, so I've got to learn more about how that's done. But let's take as a learning moment here, because one of the big things that holds so many back from creating content online, especially making video, is criticism. A fine gentleman just criticized the fact that my suit is out of style, and you're really not wrong. But I don't feel that how I'm dressed is really misrepresenting me or distracting most people. And I know that I've had hundreds of thousands of people see me in this suit. You're the first person to criticize. Doesn't mean you're wrong. But how I assess that is I shouldn't automatically change. I shouldn't say, oh my God, let me cancel the live stream now. Let me stop broadcasting now and go change. I'm not going to do that. Now, if every day I got a handful of people saying, wow, that suit is really not representing you well, then I think I probably would retire it. But here's the learning message for you. There's nobody in the entire world who is successful who doesn't get a lot of criticism. And if they do anything in the media where their face is shown or their voice is heard, a lot of it is going to be personal criticism of how you look. That is what keeps a lot of people away from entering the game of content creation, sharing your expertise. And I want to urge you, don't let that slow you down, because the benefits far outweigh the negatives. Now, I have, every couple of months, someone will write and say, TJ, you're bald and old and ugly. You old boomer. You shouldn't even be in front of a camera. And then I think, okay, but I'm a lot younger than Martha Stewart and Judge Judy and all these other media celebrities who are in their 80s and still going strong. So I don't let that bother me. Sometimes people say, oh, you have beady eyes. Well, I do have beady eyes. Guess what? So does Dr. Phil. Some people don't like my teeth. I have some dentist who likes to write nasty comments once a month about my teeth. Now, if I had comments every single day on my teeth, I might do something different. But if it's one comment out of millions of views, I think you just take that with a grain of salt and you ignore it and you focus on what you are doing that you think is helping other people. I don't think I'm the most handsome, the most beautiful person in the entire world. But I am convinced that when I speak to people and I give them practical tips on public speaking, presentation skills, how to speak to the media, how to come across comfortable, confident, relaxed on camera, that a lot of people find value out of it. A lot of people benefit from it. And that's what I keep the focus on, because if they're winning, I'm winning too, because I do have a couple of million online students. And for those of you joining me for the first time, especially on TikTok, I do train everyone from presidents of countries, prime ministers, Nobel Peace Prize winners, Miss Universes, professional athletes around the globe on how to speak more effectively. Doesn't mean everyone thinks I'm the greatest speaker. Some people don't like my style. Some people don't like the way I use my hands. Some people don't like my voice. You can't please everyone. All you can do is listen to feedback anywhere and everywhere, make assessments, and try to figure out that intersection of what's your passion, what's your expertise, what is the expertise people are looking for you where they really value what you're doing, and then how can you share that expertise? That's really all you can do. If you do that, I think you're going to be successful. And you're going to find not only your life enhanced, but other people's lives are enhanced. And it's not that it's the only thing, but you can make a bunch of money this way too. I am not promising get rich quick. In fact, today, since it's our first time with our friends on TikTok Live, I'm not going to run any ads while we're live with you. And I'm not going to pitch any of my programs or books or anything like that. I just want us to sort of get to know each other in this live format. So if you want to join me live, it's a little bit tricky since this is our first day. Tomorrow, I'm going to have you on camera 1, camera 2, camera 3, and you're going to see me as the friends in the community do on other parts of the internet, on YouTube, LinkedIn. They see sort of a bigger set, a bigger options, and you can join me right on screen and we can have an actual conversation. So I'm very excited about that. But I have to tell you, I'm very happy with the hundreds and hundreds of people who have come on, even if it's for a few seconds, on TikTok today. And we have Ona has joined us, Joffrey has joined us, Give Your Life Some Sparkle has joined us, KW has joined us. And people have come in, it's come in sort of so fast and furious that I may have missed some comments or questions. And I'm going to try to scan them. I did address the issue of the pinstripe suit, and there's no ill will is taken. Fashions could come and go. And let me just be candid with you. The folks who are watching us on YouTube and other places, some of you have heard me say this before. Why am I dressed like this? Isn't everything supposed to be casual these days? Don't we see all the top CEOs just wearing a dress shirt, casual slacks? I'm dressed this way in part because I've listened to you. When I have been producing and posting hundreds and hundreds of videos in the last 6 months, what I have found, what my team has found, is that when I'm wearing a suit and tie, somehow it just seems more credible to you. And videos that I do that have me showcased in a suit and tie get sometimes 10, sometimes 20 times as many views. So that's why I'm doing this. I'm trying to be responsive. Now, am I saying you should do whatever the audience asks for? If you wanted me just in nothing but a barrel, naked, wearing a barrel, would I do that? No, but I'm comfortable in a suit. This is how I did typically dress working with corporate clients around the world for the last several decades. I haven't worn a suit and tie as much the last few years during the pandemic because I was able to work from first a home office and now an office 4 blocks from where I live in Florida. So it's not that I walk around in South Florida on a hot day wearing a suit and tie, but I do this so I don't distract you and I sort of fit the norm of what you think an expert might look like and come across. So that's why I'm doing that. Am I telling you that you're not going to be successful on YouTube or TikTok unless you're wearing a suit? No. The vast majority of wildly successful people in social media are not wearing suits and ties these days. So I don't hold this out as sort of the one area, one aspect of how you're supposed to look or sound. I am going to try to make my microphone a little closer to my mouth so our friends on TikTok can hear. My friends on YouTube are hearing me through another mic, a shotgun mic that is just off camera. Okay, so for our friends on TikTok, the format of this show is quite often I'll take questions from you, comments from you. Sometimes people come on screen, we have a conversation. And sometimes I just do demonstrations where people have asked me a question and I will make that video in sort of a long format, meaning 8 minutes or longer, or a short format. And now I just realized I did another due diligence blunder. I forgot to put my hard drive into my mixer. So I have to do something I don't like to do, but I'm going to step off camera for a second because I'm the only one here in this studio. I've got to pull the hard drive out of another dongle brick that connects to computers, and I've got to put it into my mixer. So I'm still here. You're going to hear my audio not as loudly. I really just have to walk about 10 feet and pick up this drive. So this is a SanDisk drive. I'm putting this into an ATM mixer right now, and that allows me to record everything in super high quality 4K quality. So that's why I'm doing that. So our friends on TikTok, we're a little disorganized today because this is the first time we're doing this and I'm doing it through a cell phone, whereas I'm used to being able to look at a full screen and big cameras and be able to switch camera angles. Starting tomorrow, if we get everything organized just right, we'll be able to put you on the main feed, which means I can see your comments more easily. You can join me on screen more easily. We can have a conversation. We can have a dialogue. We can have a debate. We can debate whether someone should be seen wearing pinstripes, for that matter. Nothing is too silly or superficial because when you are giving speeches, when you are giving presentations, part of what makes it scary is you could be standing up in front of 5 colleagues, 10 colleagues, 100 colleagues, people in your industry, and all of a sudden you feel exposed. You feel like, everyone's judging my suit. They're judging my tie. They're judging the width of my tie. Is this last year's width? Is it out of fashion? It's a good thing our friend joining us on TikTok today didn't see me 2 days ago when I had an old-fashioned tie that really was out of style because it was about 3/4 of an inch too wide. So we're happy to have you here and to talk about things. Part of what's interesting about my career when I work with people face to face is the issues they tell their staff or their team or their concern. Oh, well, I don't have time to do that media interview. Quite often, it's completely unrelated to time. It's they're insecure because they feel like they need to lose weight, or they feel like their voice is uniquely awful, or they feel like they need to get a wig or something like that. So these are issues that we do talk about from time to time, because if it's holding you back, if it's making you uncomfortable, then it's a real issue. And I apologize. My colleague Barb just popped in. Happy to have you come on screen. We're always happy to hear your comments. So Barb, if you can hear me, Barb is our fantastic community manager for our Udemy students Facebook group and is very active in the community here as well. So Barb, if you want to join us back, I didn't mean to be unresponsive. So feel free to come back if you can. I just want to make sure I didn't miss any other comments coming in from our friends joining us today for the first time on TikTok. And I apologize to folks on YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook. It seems like I'm ignoring you today. Why am I looking over here? It's because I have to broadcast through a cell phone to our TikTok friends today. Okay, Barb was just checking the audio. So Barb, thanks so much for doing that. I want to see if I've missed any other comment. Wow, it's fantastic to see so many people who have joined on TikTok today. And TikTok does a great job of announcing to your followers and people who follows your account, part of your community, that you've gone live, especially for the first time. So we're happy to see Jennifer, Carrie, Brandon, Neil, Fidel, user 924, Pooh Bear has joined us, Omar, and many others. So thanks so much. One of the regular features we do here, and our regular viewers and community members know this, is not only do I answer questions that you write in or ask on screen, we'll use artificial intelligence to try to figure out what sentiment is being expressed across social media and the internet as it relates to communications. So I create content, videos that answer that. So first question, this was generated by ChatGPT today. How do I maintain eye contact without making it feel awkward? So that is a question not generated by you, but ChatGPT has pulled it up from websites, from chat rooms and other places. So I'm going to do a video on that with the idea that I'm being helpful to you for your joining, but also with the idea that I'm creating content that my editing team can then use to turn into short form videos for places like TikTok and YouTube, and also doing long form videos as well. And again, hello, Brandon. Hi, Carrie, Charles. Thanks so much for joining us, and AFSW. So I'm going to do a short form on this. So I'm going to make a note to my editors. Note to editors, typically I'm not doing this angle for short form, but I am going to do it for today, for a few here. What's the best way to make eye contact when you're giving a presentation without making people feel awkward? It's to do this. Look at one person in the eye for one thought, just a couple of sentences, like 5 seconds. Then go to the next person. Do the same thing. Share your attention. Don't just look at the same person the whole time for a minute. That would be weird. Okay, so that was an example. Let me hit stop on the record. That would be an example of a short form video. So that will be edited. Some graphics will be put in, some music. That's something that you're likely to see right here on TikTok and YouTube and LinkedIn as a 15, 20, 30-second video, probably sometime in the next month as it sort of works its way through the system. Part of what I'm doing is showing you the process. So what I did right there is I hit record on my mixer, and that's pulling the footage in the 4K version, the highest quality, so that when it's posted, it will look better. How much does that really matter? I don't know. Do people really want to see every kind of pore on my face? I don't know, but there is a consensus among a lot of creators that the higher quality things, the better. Doesn't mean you should put all your emphasis on expensive camera gear or use that as an excuse, but it is what I'm trying to do. Shreya just writes in, what if it's a one-on-one conversation interview? How do you maintain eye contact without being awkward? And Bertrand says, wow, nice short video example. Okay, Shreya, so here's an example of how I try to help you and you help me too, because Shreya has gone deeper with her question. So I'm going to try to do another YouTube short or TikTok short where I answer that question. How do you maintain eye contact when it's a one-on-one conversation? You want the person to feel like you're listening to them, but you don't want it to feel awkward, like you're staring them down. Try looking at them when they're talking to you and periodically looking down or thinking like you're giving it thought. And when you're speaking, look at them, not all the time, but most of the time. Whatever you do, the most important thing is don't pull out your cell phone and look at that while someone's talking to you. Okay, so that was a different short form because Sharia added a little nuance. She refined things. We got a little more granular here. So a part of what I'm trying to do on this channel is to give deeper, more specific advice to highly specific, granular questions that relate to communication skills, more so than you would find anyplace else in the world. And Shreya says, thank you. Shreya, what was helpful about that, if you don't mind me asking? Because it's not that I'm just simply asking for more praise, and everybody loves praise. I'm no different. But I want to know what resonated, so if that issue comes up again, I can do it again. I can maybe go deeper with that. So that's how I try to make this a win-win, is I may toss out a question I got from somewhere, give a short form or a long form video, but someone wants me to go deeper or wants to scratch just a particular part of that question. We go deeper there. You can make a case I'm not the greatest keynote speaker in the entire world. Okay. And I'm certainly not Anthony Robbins. I don't routinely have tens of thousands of people cheering for me. But what I think I do well is provide more substantive answers to questions real people have. Average business people, executives, people who are not professional speakers. I give specific tips, tricks, techniques to help people in their everyday communication issues that they face. And I do it in more varied ways than anyone. I typically post 2 short form videos every day on TikTok, YouTube, and other platforms, and 1 long form. Nowadays, we're doing 3-hour live streams answering your questions. I also have a couple of hundred online communication skills and presentation skills courses, some of them 30 hours long. So I may have my faults and I might not be quite as quick as some people are responding to every single question or post on every social media, but I do think I try to do what I do best, which is answering questions, giving demonstrations, giving really practical, tactical tips on how you can be more comfortable and more confident with all of your speaking. And I'm getting a question that says, what you think about NERPA? I don't know what NERPA is. And the same person says, like the live, did 5 like the lives. That's great. Okay, I'm going to try this again. Malik has asked to come on live through TikTok. I apologize to our friends on StreamYard. This should be the only day where we're doing things on 2 separate. I missed. For my friend who just asked to come live, okay, there we are. I'm hitting accept. So we're going to experiment again. Hi, Malik. How are you? Hi, can you hear me? So Malik has joined us, but doesn't seem to be communicating much. So I don't quite know what we're doing there. I'm going to have to. And here's what I don't know is, whoops. Hope I didn't just knock us off. What I don't know is how to end a call. And again, I don't mean to be rude in any way, but we don't seem to be having any connection there. So Ben, or if anyone can tell me how to end a connection on TikTok, would be very much appreciated, because I don't want to be rude to anyone, but I also don't want to waste the time of people who are joining us, and it's confusing to come on and just see someone who is sitting on a carpet. Andrew says hi. Says, Andrew, quick question. What should I do with my hands without looking awkward? Can I just speak with my hands by my side? Okay, so that is, okay. Before we do anything else, can anyone text me on TikTok or on StreamYard on YouTube, because I've got a split screen on TikTok. And I would like to be able to demonstrate something. So can anyone at all, and I'm going to have to shift the camera around, but I see no button anywhere that allows me to take anyone off. And Malik has joined us. I do want to appreciate and invite you back tomorrow, where we'll be on the StreamYard, and I'll know how to connect the buttons. But I cannot seem to figure out how to do that. And okay, Barb is with us. And Barb always knows more about technology than I do. Hi, Barb. How are you today?
I'm fine. I'm not a TikTok guru. But I did find the other part on the.
Apologies, Barb. 1 second. So I'm getting audio from my phone because Malik is with us. And hi, Malik. But I'm hearing nothing's coming out of your mouth. So Malik, I'm going to politely ask you if you could join me tomorrow, because I haven't figured out these controls. So do you mind signing off from now? Because I don't know how to disconnect us. And I don't think Malik can hear me either. So
I did put what I found on that in the private chat here, if you look up.
Okay, so now I'm getting pulled in a lot of different directions. I'm reading the regular chats. I'm looking at the folks with us on StreamYard, and I'm doing the live stream on TikTok. And then there's a private chat. Okay. So, Malik, again, I don't mean to be rude. I'm asking, can you please just disconnect? Because there's no way I know of disconnecting. So, and I don't want, the only thing it's giving me is a flag saying you're doing something inappropriate, and you're not doing anything inappropriate. But I just can't seem to get rid of you from my screen. And if anyone else on TikTok can do that or can tell me how to do it, would be very much appreciated. Okay, so what we may have to do is I'm going to just invite our friends from TikTok to join us in our live stream today. You can really do it anywhere other than TikTok. You can join me on LinkedIn. You can join me on Facebook. You can join me on all sorts of places. YouTube is really the best place. And then we can all connect. But I don't have all the tools to do it on the TikTok platform on a phone. So I'm going to have to sign off right now from TikTok. Thank you so much for joining us, and I look forward to seeing all of you live tomorrow. And technically, we'll be a lot better. It's a work in progress. So thanks so much. Okay, so we've signed off from TikTok. And I do very much want to appreciate all of our friends who did join us on TikTok. And Madhav has joined us today. Let me quickly check the chat to see if there's any other important business. With the X over the host box, you click the right button. I'll have to figure that out tomorrow. So, because that's just the sort of thing I can't figure out to do while I'm talking and doing a live stream. But Barb, I will study that carefully. But tomorrow, we won't be doing it on TikTok. We'll be doing it right here on StreamYard. So for those of you wondering, why am I doing it on two systems? I mentioned at the beginning of the hour, TikTok has a rule where you can stream using StreamYard or other platforms into TikTok Live, but you can't do it until you've done 25 minutes once a month exclusive to TikTok on your cell phone. So tomorrow we should be able to do it through StreamYard, and we'll be back to our normal smooth production, getting everything going. But let's just use that as a learning moment. So today has been a little bit rough. You can make the case that, TJ, you should have worked all this out behind the scenes and other things. I'm doing it now for a couple of reasons, to be brutally honest. I want you to see how the process actually works, what the thought process is for due diligence, how I'm asking questions, how I'm not afraid to let you see me make mistakes and blunders. Would it be neater and cleaner if I did nothing but show you the finished, polished product, like a Hollywood movie or a Mr. Beast video? Sure, that would be one way. But part of my core belief is that so many people in the world who have great expertise, who are really good at sharing their ideas one-on-one in small groups, hold themselves back from communicating with the rest of the world through video and social media because they are intimidated by the technology and they are afraid to look like a fool. Well, I just looked like a fool. Guess what? I'm going to get over it. You're going to get over it. It's not going to be remembered. No one's really going to remember that. So I'm not afraid to show you the flaws and the mistakes because I'm thinking ultimately it's going to help me, but I also think it will help you and make you realize no one's perfect at this the first time. No one's great at making every video. No one's great at going live. It's a learning curve. And you don't have to look at me. Look at Mr. Beast. This first videos he did, he was awful. Look at Sean Cannell. Sean Cannell is great at revealing and showing people his first few videos. So low energy, so monotone, so non-charismatic. So don't be afraid to show your flaws. Now, of course, at some point you want to polish things up and make them look the best you can. And I do try to do that, not once a day, but 3 times a day with my edited, polished, short form and long form videos. So there's a time and a place for that. I've determined that this time when we're live is I'd rather just show you my whole process rather than keep all my mistakes hidden from you. And reasonable people can disagree on whether that's a smart strategy or not, but that is in fact what I'm doing. Okay, a number of questions have come in and I want to be responsive. So I've got to scroll up. Okay, Andrew has a question about what should I do with my hands without looking awkward? Can I just speak with my hands by my side? Okay. This is an important question. So now I'm no longer broadcasting to my cell phone, so I'm going to give you proper attention. I'm going to go to camera 2. And I'm going to hit record. Oh, actually for this question, it's a camera 1 type of question. Okay. I get this question all the time. TJ, what do I do with my hands when I'm speaking? Can I just keep my hands by my side? Well, no. This looks weird. This looks like I have no control over hands or I'm a mannequin. You do not want to hold your hands by your side. The best thing to do with your hands is what you do all day long when you speak. You move your hands. You don't have to worry about this up and this exact measure or doing this. You just want your hands to move. Now, what happens to people when they get nervous is they freeze. That's why you don't want to do this. You'll send a message to everyone, I'm scared. Okay, so that was a different short form from that angle, but I can't show my hands with the normal camera too. That's why I did that. Okay. So I'm debating whether I want to do a long form on that. There's some topics where it's highly specific, and I feel like I've really given people everything they need to know in a short form. Other topics are great for long form, and I kind of feel like I'm doing an injustice by trying to squeeze it in under 60 seconds. I may come back to that one. I've done a lot of videos on hand gestures and body language. I'm not sure yet if I want to do a long form just on that niche. Okay, Shreya says, when I'm participating in a one-on-one conversation, I sometimes feel I'm staring, then nonstop while actively talking and listening. And I know at the moment I cannot look somewhere else, maybe on the wall. or maybe on the wall or ceiling. I used to wonder how I can change it. Let me make sure I'm getting all the nuance of your question. I used to wonder how I can change it. Thanks for your advice. Now I understand eye contact is important, but we shouldn't make others feel that we're staring at them. Okay, so Shreya, there's several nuances here. Oh, I've just gone out of focus, so I'm going to shift to a different camera angle, and that typically gets it back the right way. It seems, is anyone else noticing I seemed a little bit blurry there? Let me go to camera one and just talk here for a minute. So Shreya wants to know about the eye contact. If you're talking one-on-one with someone, whether it's for a job interview, you're talking to your boss, a colleague, or even just a personal conversation, you don't want to make the person feel uncomfortable, like you're staring them down. Sometimes you kind of follow the lead of what they do. Chances are they're looking at you for a sentence or two, then looking away in thought, maybe looking up, maybe looking down, maybe putting their coffee cup down. But there is a give and take. They might be looking at you 90% of the time. It might be 50% of the time. One technique is you kind of match what they're doing. The other thing you can do is to just figure out you want to do it the way you want to. Look at them for an important point, but also look down every 10, 20 seconds or so. You don't want the person to feel like you're really staring at them. Now, here is the exception. If you are speaking, let's say you're standing, you're talking to 10 or more people in a room, I do recommend that you look right at one person for a full thought for 2 sentences, 5, 6 seconds. Occasionally, this has happened to me, it can happen to you, you will notice someone looking down like they feel embarrassed. It's okay. Now, I don't go out of my way to make people feel embarrassed or feel like they are in the hot seat, but I really don't want my audience to feel like they are completely anonymous. The problem most speakers have is they're looking at the audience the entire time. And if you're an audience member, even if you're in the front row, you kind of feel like you're completely anonymous. You feel like, well, I can sit back, daydream. I can pull my cell phone out. I can do anything. They don't care. They're not going to notice. I don't want that. I want audience members to know, hey, I really see you. Now, it's not going to be perceived as rude if you give everyone in the room equal attention. Share your attention. If you're just looking at the CEO or the best looking person in the room and you're staring at them for 2 minutes, that's going to be awkward at many levels. Everyone else in the room is going to feel ignored. The person you're staring at is going to feel like you're being really rude. That's not what I'm suggesting. I am saying look at one person for thought, a couple sentences, then go to the next, then go to the next. Okay, let's see if my autofocus has gotten better. Okay, now we appear to be back in focus. So Shreya, I hope that was helpful. And it just occurred to me, I know I've talked about those things before, but that might have been an item for a short, you know what, let me just go ahead and do a short form video on that. And let me make sure I'm getting the question one-on-one, nonstop. Okay. If you're in a one-on-one conversation with someone, how do you prevent them from feeling, time out, scratch that. If you're in a one-on-one conversation with someone, you want to look at them, but you don't want them to feel like you're staring at them. How do you figure out what's the right amount of time to look at someone? You can follow what they do. Chances are they're looking at you maybe 50, maybe 70% of the time, then looking up to think or down. You can mirror that. You can also just focus on talking to them for 10, 20 seconds at a time. Then, whether you're putting a coffee cup down or thinking or looking up, looking what you want a mixture. You don't want a stare down contest, but you don't want to sit there with your eyes closed or looking at the ceiling or looking at your phone. Okay, so that's the short form for that. hope that was helpful, and I'm hoping that other people will find that helpful in the future when that's turned into an edited short form video. Okay, we're going to go and scan down. Gotta find my cursor here, and I'm going to make sure I didn't miss any other questions. So Madhav is saying hello. Always good to hear from you, Madhav. As a question, how to work with you, sir? I see your community post. Okay. So Madhav, I very much appreciate you mentioning that. I did make a post a week or so ago that I'm specifically looking for a producer to help me with segments like this. And as this show evolves into doing interviews, so I am going to be doing long form video-based interviews. The audio will be pulled out of that, and it's going to be turned into a podcast. So that's something I'm hoping to launch in the next month. And Madhav, the best thing to do would be, frankly, to email me your expertise, your interest, because there's a number of projects and a number of ways I work with people. It's often project-based. It's sometimes ongoing project-based. Sometimes it's just a single shot thing, such if I need a logo or something made. Sometimes it's on a joint venture partnership. I can tell you right now, if it's some young person who has doesn't have to be young, someone of any age has a real passion for communication and they want to start making a name for themselves, one of the things I would love to do is turn a number of my online courses into books. Now, books are very, very time consuming and difficult to do and labor intensive, tremendous amount of details. But it can be a great way of getting your name out. If done right, it can be profitable. So I'd love to find someone, Matt, this may or may not be a project you're interested in. But for example, my complete storytelling course is typically a #1 best-selling course in the genre of storytelling on the #1 online platform for courses, for video-based courses. I think it'd be a great book. But do I have the time to sit down and write it myself and rewrite it and edit it and either shop it around to publishers or do all the things it takes to self-publish? No, it's not a high enough priority. But I would love to partner with someone who would get co-author status, who can, here's how I would envision it. That person would take my videos from my course, download them as transcripts, upload them into ChatGPT or some other artificial intelligence writing program, synthesize it, organize it, get rid of duplications. Then do some interviewing with me, of me, live right here on this show for perhaps another 10 hours. Take that content, edit it together, synthesize it into a book. And we would split the revenue, split the profits. So that's something where I'd like to do it, but I can't allocate the time for that. But if someone like you might have wanted to do that, that would be a great thing. Now, that may not be your main interest. You may be more interested in podcasting. I am looking for a podcast editor because I'm going to start doing in-depth, hour-long interviews with other communications experts. Could be someone who's an expert on negotiation skills. It could be someone who's an expert on small talk. I interview them for an hour. I need that video edited in a way that's going to grab attention. And if you've seen high quality podcasts like Diary of a CEO and others, there's a specific formula that works. You start the podcast with 3, 4, 5 great sound bites that have been found throughout the entire hour-long interview to whet people's appetite, to arouse curiosity, to make them think, oh, this sounds interesting. I better listen to the whole thing or watch the whole thing, because it would be a video podcast and an audio podcast as well. So if that's the sort of thing you have in mind, if you have a skill set with that, that would be great. And Mata says, I'm an introvert. Is it okay to be a public speaker? Or do I have to be an extrovert to be a public speaker? Well, absolutely, you do not have to be. That's such an important one. A quick note to Ben, if you're watching this, or Barb, for some reason, or Muhammad, another expert who works with me, my face is going fuzzy. I'm going to switch camera angles a minute. I don't know why that is, but for some reason, my autofocus seems to be a little bit off on camera 3 today. I don't really know why. So let me do a long form answer to Madhav's question about, do you have to be an extrovert to be a great public speaker? You absolutely do not. So I'm going to hit record on that. You know what? It's past the top of the hour. I'm going to take a short break. We're going to run some ads. These are ads that you've seen me make. Some of you have seen me make for the Amazon Influencer Program. I'm going to show these ads. In part, not because I'm trying to sell you a lot, but hey, I pay bills too. I won't mind if you buy something, but I'm doing it here primarily to show you. These are examples of influencer ads where almost, not all, but almost all were done in one take. So there's no editing, no production, although I think my team may have added some music in. It's very, very simple stuff. I want you to see that. Plus, that gives me a time to just catch up with the comments and sit down for a second. And I'll be back in probably 3 minutes or less, and we will be live again. But these are recorded. I hate the term pre-recorded, because if something is recorded, it happened in the past. The pre is redundant. But I'm going to run these ads for you right here for a few minutes. And then I will be back with you live. Okay, we're going to.
This is a setting that requires a tie. Calvin Klein does the job. Simple, elegant. I wear it on all day long. This is the solution. This electric kettle heats my water quickly, and it keeps it warm or tea all day long. This is almost magical. I no longer have to have matches around the house or lighters with lighter fluid. This electric lighter, I don't even know how it does it, but it lights candles, anything I need. I like to think I'm the Incredible Hulk and so strong I can open any jar, but I can't. That's why I love this. It helps me get any jar, any top off quickly and easily. Want to show Mom you love her? Well, what better than a cup that says, I love Mom. This is a hit on Mother's Day or any other day. I love fresh garlic in my food, but I can't stand mashing it up myself. That's why I love this garlic press. It is clean, easy to use, easy to clean up, and makes my food taste great. Father's Day is a special day in my household. This year, my daughter gave me this, world's greatest father. She does have a sense of humor and likes to tease Dad a little bit. In my household, we use Cascade Platinum Plus. It's simple, it's easy to use, there's no mess. I take it and throw it in the dishwasher. Don't have to worry about it. Get a big box so it lasts a long time. Let's face it, sometimes kitchens, bathrooms, homes don't smell perfectly. That's why Febreze air is in our house. It quickly makes any room smell better. This Kenneth Cole all-leather reaction bag is fantastic. I've had it for 15 years. It looks as good as the day I bought it. You're gonna love it. I love these water shoes. I live in Florida and I take my daughter to water parks frequently. And if you're barefoot, your feet hurt too much by the end of the day. Or sometimes going on a beach where there's coral. These will protect. When I'm not on camera, I wear glasses all day long. They get dirty, they get greasy. I love my Magic Fiber. It cleans it so easily, quickly. I try to keep one in my pocket, in my briefcase, and at home at all times. Do you see the sunshine here? No, you don't, because these are great blackout curtains. I have them in my TV studio, and it keeps the light out and gives me what I need, control of the lighting. This 128 gigabyte SanDisk is massive. I produce lots of video every day for things like this. I need something that can store it. This is the ticket, 128 gigabytes. This curtain rod does exactly what I asked it to do. Now these are heavy blackout curtains, but no problem. The curtain stays up all the time. The rod does exactly what it needs to do. This rug is perfect for my TV studio. It blends in, it doesn't distract, it doesn't get too busy the way this carpet underneath it does. It's perfect for my needs if you're looking for a simple carpet. This camera mount is fantastic. I can use it at any degree. Right now it's facing me, but I can angle it so it goes down and looks on my papers or anything I'm demonstrating. It's really flexible. If you're in a business setting that requires a tie, Calvin Klein does the job. Simple, elegant. I wear it on TV every day. If you're looking for simple elegance, nothing beats this Calvin Klein light blue business shirt. It doesn't distract. It looks great in person. It looks great on camera. I live in South Florida where it's hot. Other than when I'm on camera, I only wear linen shirts. This Untuckit linen shirt looks great, it feels great, and it doesn't wrinkle as much as others. This Perry Ellis maroon tie is simple, it's elegant, I can't wait to wear. This is my favorite color for a tie. It's not so red and bright and glary. It doesn't distract. It's simple elegance. This Tommy Hilfiger dress shirt is simple. It's elegant. It has the sort of fabric that gives me a little texture that I like, and it's wrinkle-free. If you want something to go well with your suit, give it a try. Everybody likes money. Everybody needs money. But do you understand your psychological relationship to money? This book, Happy Money, will help you along that path, make you happier and ideally a little wealthier. Artificial intelligence is everywhere in the news these days. If you feel like you want a little deeper background, then I highly recommend AI Superpowers. It goes into the history of AI, the US, China, and elsewhere. It's a great foundation. If you enjoy warm beverages, but you don't want to have to microwave water or have a traditional kettle on all day long, this is the solution. This electric kettle heats my water quickly and it keeps it warm, or tea, all day long. This is almost... And I'm back live. Thanks so much for that indulgence. As this show evolves, we are going to be doing more segments. It's going to stay mostly live. We're going to be adding interviews in the coming month, in-depth interviews with people who are renowned, internationally renowned communication experts on everything from body language to negotiation skills to small talk to how to create the perfect PowerPoint slide. So I'm very excited about a lot of upcoming activities, but I'm hoping the heart of the show remains the same, which is you have questions about how to communicate more effectively, and I'm going to do my best to answer, giving you theory but practical examples and sharing situations and stories from when I've helped a real person in person just like you get over that issue and get better at it. So that I'm hoping will continue to be sort of the main focus of this show and to be valuable to people. By the way, I just checked, and doing that live stream on TikTok for just a half an hour or so generated dozens of new subscribers. Now, am I guaranteeing that you're going to become famous just by doing a live on TikTok or any one platform? No, but I do think it is interesting that I've noticed on a lot of platforms, the first time you do something, they want to encourage new activity. They're more likely to promote you to people who already followed you or follow a hashtag that is relevant to what you're talking about. The other learning point I want to get there is it's very easy to fall into the trap of saying, well, I don't want to make a mistake. I don't want to look silly or foolish. Let's just do a whole rehearsal. Let's do more research. Let's read more about it. I could have done a lot more research to make my first TikTok live go smoothly. I could have, but it's often a trap. I find people who say, well, I'm going to do it, but I'm still researching. I'm working out the kinks. I'm looking about more best practices. I want to do a few more rehearsals. They never actually go live. And now I'm pretty confident that the next TikTok live I do is going to be better than that one. I'll have worked out the kinks. Part of it I know it will be better is I won't have to do things on two separate cameras or two separate feeds. I'll be able to do everything through a feed. So I got through that first one. My suggestion to you is to not always just hop into things and never do proper due diligence and to never care about quality. That is not my message at all. But I do think you have to weigh relative risks and relative rewards. The relative risk of going live on some new platform and there being a few glitches, I think the risk is pretty small. Now, there was a major United States presidential candidate in the last year who decided he would do something brand new and announce his presidential campaign on Twitter. I think that was before it turned into X. And the audio feed was an unmitigated disaster. And he got a lot of negative publicity for months on that. So I'm not telling you it can't come back to haunt you. But if you're announcing you're running for the president of a country, you know the stakes are high. That's not the time to try something in a whimsical way and just, well, let's just see what happens. No, you want to make sure everything is straight. But if it's something that you haven't announced to anyone, I had not announced to anyone I was going live on TikTok today. If it's something where the stakes are low and it helps you learn so you can get better, then it's worth it, I think. Okay, we've had a number of questions come in. I want to answer Madhav's question about, can you be a good public speaker without being an extrovert? Tim says yes and says better. I agree with you, Tim. We're going to talk about that. By the way, any of you want to come on camera, you can join me. Doesn't have to be a monologue of TJ. I like to talk, but I like it even better to have conversations with people. So if Madhav or Tim or Barb or anyone else wants to come on, Barb asked the question, how does a young person determine their worth as a remote worker? That's a fascinating question. It certainly relates to my online course of how to be a freelancer, how to have a successful freelance business. We'll talk about that in a moment too. Shreya says your advice is helpful. Thanks. I'm glad you like that. And Janice writes in, thanks for the sneak peek at your upcoming activities, TJ. Just a quick stop to get inspiration before a busy day. Well, Janice said unconventional advice that works. Always happy to hear from you. Andrew says, in all of your years of public speaking, what's the worst case of speaking anxiety you've ever seen? Okay, I've got a story for you, Andrew. Oh, Shreya says the audio is unclear now. Is anyone else having problems with the audio? Because I did step out of the room. Let me check my settings to make it, if any, I won't put you on the spot. You don't have to come on screen. But is anyone else hearing audio problems? I don't know how it would have shifted. I'm looking at my settings. Everything appears to be the same. Shreya, can you it says audio is muffled. Unclear. Kindly check the microphone settings. I've just done that. I'm going to hit mute a minute and then unmute. So I've hit mute and unmute. Sometimes, not always, sometimes that solves the problem. I find if I go on Zoom or something like that, quite often that alone solves the problem, just hitting mute and unmute. Hugo says, I can hear it clearly. Well, Hugo, thanks for your feedback. So Shreya, I'm not quite sure what happened. I do appreciate your feedback. I want to hear all feedback, not just the praise, not just, wow, you look great and sound great. I do want to know if all of a sudden the audio is bad, because that happened earlier today. I had the wrong setting on my computer and I wasn't using my fancy microphone, my fancy shotgun microphone. I was using the itty bitty microphone embedded in this earpiece, and it was obviously not as good. Okay, we got a lot of ground to cover, and I do want to be responsive to your questions. So let's go back up. And I'll make a commitment to you. Everyone who's asked a question so far, I will answer that, even if we're here for 4 hours. I'm going to answer your questions. I can't guarantee that we answer every question every single day, or I would be here for 8 hours a day, and that really would be too much TJ, as the expression in my household often goes. Okay, so let's go to Madhav's question. And I want to do a long form. I want to do a short form and a long form on this. I'm going to go to camera 2. There's a mistaken notion that you somehow had to be an extrovert to be a great public speaker. No, that's absurd. Steve Jobs was not an extrovert, great speaker. In fact, being an introvert gives you more time alone to really think about your ideas and how to make them memorable and interesting for your audience. Okay, so that was the short form. Am I completely happy with that? No. This is one that I'd like to expand upon for a longer period of time. So, and I don't mean to be disrespectful to those of you who have answered questions, but again, I am trying to do a couple of different things. This is a workshop here. This is not a regular show. I'm showing you how I actually create my work for my YouTube channel, for my courses, keynotes, what I do. So what I've got to do right now is I've got to talk for 8 minutes, because if I don't hit that 8-minute mark, it doesn't generally get as much traction on YouTube. So that's why I'm doing this as a long form video. So, and Matt, I very much appreciate you asking the question. So let me go to camera 1. Get my pocket squared away more. It's not that I want it perfectly symmetrical. I just don't want it out too far. Do you have to be an extrovert to be a great public speaker? Well, that's a myth, but believe me, it is a myth. You do not have to be an extrovert in order to be a great public speaker. Are certain great public speakers also extroverts? Sure. I think someone like Tony Robbins would call himself an extrovert. But for every extrovert who's a great speaker, there are countless examples of fantastic speakers who are not extroverted at all. Steve Jobs was not the kind of guy backslapping and the life of every party. No, he was much more introverted. Many of the best speakers throughout history were good speakers because they spent a lot of time alone, thinking of interesting ideas, and then thinking of interesting ways of making their ideas come alive, understandable, memorable. Let's not forget, so much of what makes someone a good speaker, it's not the hand gestures, it's not the booming voice, it's having an interesting idea. And introverts, by their very nature, have more time to actually think, to come up with good ideas. So use that as your secret asset. If you're an introvert and you're good at thinking and you have good ideas and your ideas can be useful to people, whether it's entertaining them or helping them make more money or be more effective at some aspect of their professional life or personal life, they're going to love you. So use those ideas to your benefit when you speak. One of the biggest problems speakers have everywhere, every convention, every conference, every seminar, is when they stand up to speak, the audience might be smiling and looking, but inside the audience is thinking, blah, blah, blah. I've heard this a million times. I'm not hearing anything interesting. That's what's going on in the mind of audiences everywhere. So if you're an introvert and you actually spend more time alone thinking, creating ideas, ideally writing your ideas down somewhere, whether it's paper or whether you're programming it into a computer, if you're cataloging your ideas and then thinking about how can you make these ideas come to life for people, that is what is going to make you a compelling speaker, a memorable speaker. That's what it's all about. Because the basic technical, physical skills of speaking are very simple. You don't have to be extroverted at all. If you've ever had one conversation with one person and they could understand you and find something you said interesting and memorable, you have all of the physical skills you need to be a great speaker. The rest of the secret sauce, that's where your ideas come into play. So I'm begging you, don't waste a single second thinking, I can't be a great speaker because I'm not an extrovert. That's like saying, I can't be a great speaker because I'm not 6'4". You don't have to be tall to be a speaker. Yes, there are examples of tall speakers. Again, Anthony Robbins, he's a good speaker and he's tall, but he's not a good speaker because he's tall.
Judge Judy is about this tall. She's a good speaker in the realm of television. Winston Churchill was a very powerful speaker, but below average in height. So things like how tall you are, how good looking you are, how much hair you have, how extroverted you have, just don't matter when it comes to you being a speaker. So focus on what really matters. Focus on your audience. Focus on taking some idea you have that's going to be either useful or entertaining or productive to your audience, and then spend all of your time and energy making it understandable to them and memorable to them so they can take action. If you do that, your audience will love you. You don't have to spend the next 5 hours slapping backs at the cocktail party. You can go off and do whatever you want. And people will be talking about you, not because you're rude for not hanging out with them. They'll be talking about you because of the ideas you put into their brain that are exciting them to take action. Okay, I forgot to look at my time mark. So I don't know if I hit the 8-minute mark, but that's okay. If I've said everything I could possibly say that I think is really helpful to someone, and it's 6 minutes long, and the video doesn't get 1 million views, I'm okay with that. I'm in this for the long haul. I do think that if you create quality information and insights to help people, and you're creating high quality, and you're doing more quantity than anyone else, over time, things will work out well for you. That has been what has worked for me in the online course world, where I've simply created more courses than anyone else. The videos are not always edited as perfectly as others, but over time, I've reached a lot more people because of basic level of quality and the quantity as well. So that is, in fact, what I am trying to do here. So I know other questions have come in. Let me try to take them in more or less chronological order. I think we've answered Shreya's question. Madhav, I hope you found that answer acceptable about whether you need to be an extrovert. Okay, Madhav also says, make a video on how to create a bootstrap startup. Okay, well, I'm still seeing a little bit of focus issues with my camera 3. I don't know what's going on there. Maybe it's holding up the bottle. It's just so you know, the camera setting, and I'm going to be doing some videos where I talk about what cameras I use, because I know some of you have asked, have been nice enough to notice that the production quality has gone up a little here at what we're doing on this channel. I have it on continuous autofocus, and it's supposed to focus on a face. So if my face is anywhere on this screen, it's supposed to focus on that. So I don't know why it's a little bit fuzzy. I'm going to go to camera 1 for this, since it seems to be a better angle anyway. So how do you do a startup? Okay, let's talk about that. So you want to start a startup. Okay. So you want to begin a startup company. What's the most important thing? Now, if it's a tech company, it certainly would be nice to have tech skills. That's a given. But the missing ingredient for so many people is they cannot speak about their startup in a way that's compelling to other people. When you have a brand new company, you're excited about it. You may be spending every minute of the day, staying up till 3 a.m. working on your startup. But very few startups actually become something meaningful if it's just one person, if it just stays in your brain. You've got to make this concept come alive to other people. Now, maybe you have to go out and raise $10 or $20 million in startup venture capital. You've got to be able to speak to investors quite often without showing them the car or whatever product it was. You've got to make them just see your vision by you speaking. So you've got to learn how to get people to not only understand your idea, but to get excited about it. They have to know, what market are you actually serving? What problem are you solving in this business? Why is there a need for this product? What's unique about you? Why are you uniquely qualified and motivated to take this concept all the way to profitability, which in some cases takes 10 years between the concept and a company going public? Why are you that committed to spend a decade of your life on this? These are questions you need to be able to answer when you are talking to people, whether it's a formal presentation in front of venture capitalists or whether it is just talking one-on-one with someone you're trying to recruit. Now, it's especially important for a startup to be able to talk to colleagues, other people, to get them on board. The most successful startups are typically not completely controlled by one person. You have to put together a team, and you have to get them excited about it. Venture capitalists, other investors, these days will rarely just invest in one idea and one inventor, one founder who says, here's my idea, here's the napkin. Back in the 90s, that could happen. It's not happening anymore. They want to see that you've taken a concept, turned it into a reality, whether it's an app, a piece of software, something, that you've already assembled a team and that you're already showing some traction with customers, ideally making revenue, ideally even profitable. You need all those things to happen. So let's say you are a non-technical founder. You've got to use your communication abilities to convince an engineer to come work for you. You got to get them so excited. You can't just talk about why it's a good idea. You have to convince this engineer that out of all the thousands of ideas he or she could be working on right now, this is the most important new business idea that the engineer could work on. And you have to convince them that the idea is so powerful, has so much potential, that they should give up a salary, maybe even a full-time salary, maybe even quit their job to come work for you. You don't do that unless you're highly persuasive, unless you are a skilled communicator. Now, you might not think of yourself as some big keynote platform speaker telling stories that motivate 10,000 people. I'm not talking about that kind of speaking. But you got to be able to sit in the lab or in a coffee shop and look at an engineer face to face and tell them why this idea is so compelling, why there's so much growth potential, why you can be really successful together doing it. Now, let's look from the other perspective. Let's say you're an engineer and you have devised the perfect piece of software. You know this is going to change the world. You can't do it yourself. You're going to need someone who perhaps has more people skills, can do management, promotion, someone who could be the CEO or the chief executive officer, chief operating officer, chief financial officer. Perhaps you need someone who can go out and hustle advertisers or sponsors or other partners. You can't do it all. And chances are when you're just starting, you don't already have millions of dollars in investment capital that you can just spend on people to give them a salary. You're not going to be able to recruit them unless you can speak to them in a compelling way. So here are the main flaws most startups face when they're trying to do this. Most startup founders are so lost in the weeds. They want to tell people every single X and O and every single piece of their computer language. Meanwhile, the person they're talking to, scratching their head saying, I don't really understand what they're doing. I don't really understand their revenue model. Not quite sure why someone would want this. So the biggest problem most startup founders have is they're not able to communicate at a simple enough level. New investors, new potential employees don't have to know every single aspect of how you design the solution. They do need to know what the exact problem is you're solving. They need to know why you came up with a solution and why your solution is potentially better than anyone else's. They need to have some sense of the marketplace. Is this big enough to worry about? If I came to you and said, I got the perfect invention of buttons for bespoke suits, they are just a little bit shinier, and the buttonholes have 3 holes instead of 4, so you save thread. It might be an interesting idea, but I think you would say, oh, okay, TJ, but aren't there already a lot of button companies? Is there any evidence people are really frustrated with the 4 holes in buttons? Why do they want to shift to 3? If I don't have good answers for that, it doesn't really matter how good my technology is or that I can make a button for 50% less than other people. I'm not going to convince you. So that's what you need to focus on, these big picture questions. What is it your startup actually does? How do you make money? Are people going to be paying you a subscription fee? Is it a one-off? What is the actual real problem that people have already told you in real life? Actual business people have told you, this is a problem. Boy, I wish I had a solution. You need to recount conversations like that you've had with people. If you can do those things, then you will have the communication skills you need to give every proper attention and to increase the odds of success for your startup. Good luck. Okay, so that was sort of a long-form answer to your question about creating a bootstrap startup. Now, I just see now that you said bootstrap, so maybe I shouldn't have spent as much time talking about investment money. But a lot of bootstraps get to a certain level, and then they do want startup capital to take them to the next level. In some sense, unless people who are just fabulously wealthy, every startup is a bootstrap, because typically you're starting a company with your time and your mind and your efforts. And then whether you start hiring people out of your own money, or you go out and raise money, or you recruit others, it all has to flow there. So I hope that was helpful. So Matt, if you can give me some feedback on that, that would be great. Okay, let's go to the next question. This one from Barb. How does a young person determine their worth as a remote worker? Fascinating question. And Madhav, Madhav is saying, Tim Jackett, your videos are amazing. Madhav, well, let's do everyone a favor. Find a video of Tim's that you like. Let's put a showcase on that. Let's promote other people in this community. It doesn't always have to be about me, okay? So I'm happy to put a spotlight on other members of the community. Let's talk about Barb's question. So if you are a remote worker, in these days, unless you are a truck driver or you work in a restaurant, or I would say even a surgeon can be a remote worker these days with a lot of what they do. It's almost very few people who can't do some work remotely. So I think this issue is relevant to the vast majority of people in the workforce. I mean, again, there are exceptions. If you are working in the fields of a farm and you are planting corn or picking corn, presumably there's not that much remote work there. But even then, you can create a course on how to get better at picking the right place to plant seeds. There's all sorts of ways of doing work virtually. My recommendation to someone, let's narrow the field. If you're earlier in your career, let's say you've had one job, it didn't quite work out, and you're now looking for work. Maybe it's a full-time job, maybe it's remote work, maybe you're looking together for doing a freelance thing. My advice is figure out the starting point. Figure out what is the one thing right now that you're good at and you
ideally enjoy, but at least don't hate. That is valued in the marketplace. You need all of those things to be true. And then I would spend a lot of time really focusing on selling your services in different ways for that one thing. So let's say you're really good at using artificial intelligence to help people, small businesses, create apps to answer their customers' question. Let's say you're good at that. I would do a number of things. I would create a YouTube channel and a social media channel where you're making content on that on a regular basis. If nothing else, you can get, an extra $50 a month from advertising revenue. Next, I would create a course on that subject. Make it tiny, tiny niche. Maybe don't make that much money, but potentially you can, and the course serves as a credibility builder. Next, go on Fiverr. Try to sell these services. Have something you can do for $5 as sort of a loss leader, but then have additional services. Maybe you tell them, I'll give you a plan on how to do it for $5, and it's a plan you just change their name and it's very little work. But if they want you to do it, then you've got add-on services that you charge. Do that. Try to do a speech on it. Maybe you never ever get hired, but if you give a speech somewhere, local university, someone sees you doing it, it may boost the perception people have of you to the point where they're more comfortable paying higher level consulting fees. You always want to be working your way up the value chain, and you always want to be figuring out how you can have different streams of revenue at different levels so you can be working your way up. Now, I say that for a lot of people, especially earlier in their career, forget all the multiple streams of revenue, get a good job and do a great job at that, and get a nice salary, and save that salary as much as you can to fund other ventures and experiments. I did see a study just recently, and I forgot where it was, but it was a study of top YouTube creators, video-based creators on other social media platforms. And what they found in this survey was that the number one revenue source was not advertising, wasn't sponsorships, wasn't affiliate deals. It was people selling online courses. And that rings true with me because that has been certainly for the last 4 years, has been my number one revenue driver, is selling online courses. Now, you can sell your courses on a place like Udemy. You can sell your courses directly from your own website, charge more, but you got to do the marketing. So my advice, Barb, for the young person is to always be working to create higher value for yourself as a remote worker. One of the ways of doing that is by digitizing your expertise. So if you make an online course, and let's say you don't ever sell it to anyone, and let's use the same example. You're someone who helps people use artificial intelligence to create apps for their small business to answer common questions that their customers have. The sheer fact that you have a course on that topic is going to make it a lot easier for you to sell me or anyone else an upfront consulting fee to get started of, say, $1,000, as opposed to just saying, well, I'll work $5 an hour. The other thing I want you to think about is how you can sell value rather than time. Alan Weiss is a very famous author, expert on this subject. He's written $1 Million Consultant, $1 Million Speaker. I would recommend, some of his books are a little bit dated, but the core concept is still there, is sell your value to people and your expertise. Don't sell time is usually the best way to go. Now, when you're just getting started, you're going to have to experiment because there is such a thing as a marketplace. If you're selling a commoditized service and anyone can get someone to do that anywhere in the world, and someone is willing to do it from a very low cost country, If you want, if at a full-time job, people get $200 a day where you live, but someone is willing to do it in a much less expensive country for $5, then it's going to be very hard for you to remotely charge that. Do ask yourself, wherever you are, is there a chance you could work for a local company? Because if a company's local and you're there face to face, you can build stronger relationships, create extra value, get promotions, and then the relationship is likely to quit just because someone says, oh, you're $5 a day. I found someone to do it for $4 a day on this other website. You're much less likely to get bumped off just because of price. In general, you do not want to compete for gigs, for work, whether it's an hour assignment, a 1-day assignment, a week assignment, a month assignment, or a 10-year job. You do not want to compete on the basis of price, because there's always somebody somewhere willing to charge less. They're either younger or don't need money or don't care about money, or they live in a place where the cost of living is so much lower than yours, they don't need as much money. So you don't want to compete on price. You want to compete on value and really overwhelm people with your expertise, your value, your commitment to helping with something. Now, does that mean you're going to lose some business? Yes, I lose business all the time. People call me and say, give me a proposal for a full day of media training or public speaking training for these 10 executives. And I get upset if once a month I don't have a handful of people say, TJ, we'd love to hire you, but you were too expensive. I want to hear that. If I don't hear that, it means I wasn't charging enough. So keep that in mind. You want to have a marketing engine where different prospects are coming to you in different places, from different places, unless you have a full-time job that you love. And even then, I would say start a part-time gig, because full-time jobs don't last forever. Just ask anyone who's worked in a major media organization anywhere in the world in the last 10 years. Chances are they've been fired a couple of times. So that's, in a nutshell, my advice on how young people should determine their worth and how they should charge as a remote worker. First of all, don't discount yourself because you're a remote worker. You can make that an asset. Say, hey, you're saving all this money by not having to provide overhead and internet and support services and computer services. I'm putting all that in, and focus on the value you provide. The mistake so many remote workers make is they continue to focus on one relatively small, relatively simple niche. Always be improving your skills. Always be learning more. Always be building. I have one young man came to me as just a fan, really, had no money, lived in an extraordinarily poor country, and just wanted to learn from me and got some courses from me many years ago. He's done nothing but continue to learn. Now he makes courses. He's moved to North America now, and he has a good job in college, side gigs, making money, recurring revenue from courses, and zero debt, and is financially in a much stronger position than a lot of native-born Americans I know. Why? It's because he's continuing to improve his skills. He's continuing to learn more. He's continuing to embrace technology. He's continuing to experiment. And he continues to sample with different streams of revenue. So that is my advice. Barb, hope that was helpful. Tim says, okay, Bias was talking about Tim's video, so I don't know which one. Shreya says advice is helpful. Thanks. Hugo says, I think a lot of what makes these product reviews great is simply your voice intonation and pausing. Okay. Well, thanks, Hugo. That is a question that came up from ChatGPT today that I'm going to do a video on. So I will maybe even get to that in the next hour. And by the way, program note, in the final hour today, I will be making
Amazon influencer videos. Full disclosure, I don't want to get on the wrong side of Amazon. I'm not an official, certainly not an official employee of Amazon. I don't represent them. They are not sponsoring me in any way. I do not speak on behalf of Amazon. I have been accepted into the Amazon Influencer Program, which means I can make review videos on products that are available in Amazon that I have in front of me. And if someone watches the video and then buys the product, I get an affiliate commission. So I've been doing that thanks to Barb leading me there for now. I think it's actually 3 months today. I think I said it was yesterday, but I think it was 3 months today. Been posting videos for about 2.5 months. And I will be making 5 more Amazon influencer videos later today. So if you want to see how that's done and kind of demystify the process and see one way of doing it, it's not the only way, it's the way I do it. If you want to see that, then stick around. Going through more questions, and Hugo, thank you very much for the kind comments. And Janice said hello. We commented on that. Andrew wants to know, in all of your years of public speaking, what's the worst case of speaking anxiety you've seen? Okay. So I have a very specific case for that. I just want to see if anything else is coming in. I'm glad to see we have some people coming in from Twitter, from Facebook, from YouTube, and other places. Oh, let me go down to the bottom because Barb was nice enough to say, all good advice. It does not answer how to determine your worth as a remote worker. So, Barb, I appreciate the pushback and challenging me to go a little deeper. So I think at some level, there's always a factor of what your need is, what your immediate need is, what else you had to do with your time. I mean, if you don't know how to pay for tomorrow's lunch and you have nothing else to do today and someone's willing to pay you $5 for a task, then all of a sudden, that's what would determine the worth for me is I'm hungry and here's $5 beats nothing. Now, I've been in that situation. I'm not in that situation now, but certainly some of you may be in that situation where you sort of had to take what you can get. Ideally, you get to the point where you have some kind of savings, you've got a little bit of a cushion, and you have the ability to say no. I guess now I'm really targeting more on, I think, what's directly answering your question, Barb, is you cannot determine your worth in the marketplace until you figure out what you're saying no to. At one point in my life, I cleaned dishes for, I think, $3.25 an hour. That was the best job I could get when I was 19 years old. You couldn't just do tech startups very easily in 1981, especially if you've never seen or touched a computer, or 1982. So part of it does determine on need, other options. What I mentioned about that former student of mine is doing so well is he is creating lots of different options. He sometimes works full-time for people. He sometimes works part-time at physical locations. He does some gigs on Fiverr that are one-offs. He is creating online courses that can be working for him and appealing to customers around the world 24 hours a day. So it depends on where you are in your journey and what your needs are, what your options are, and what's going on with your time. You know, if someone asked me to come give a speech in a completely different continent where it's going to take 14 hours to get there, I'm going to charge them an extremely high price. It's going to cost a lot because I have other options for my time, and it's going to take a lot of my time to do that. And I got to factor in how will that amount of money change my life? And I got to factor in
I could be tired for a week with jet lag. That happens to be where I am. Again, I've been in places where I determined the value for my time in the summer of 1980. It was, I believe, $2.25 an hour. How did I determine that? That was the minimum wage in roughly the minimum age in 1980, and I was a mover. I was a mover for the Mayflower Moving Company, and I had gigantic couches on my back and chairs, and I was sweating, and it was tough, grueling work. In that case, it was the marketplace, the law determined it minimum wage. I worked for minimum wage. I was just out of high school for a summer job. So sometimes you have to take what you can get. The key is you don't have to keep doing that. And what's to me so exciting about the modern world is whether you try to get an Amazon influencer program, whether you try to make Udemy courses, whether you are selling a discrete service on Fiverr, is you can be selling a lot of different services you do at different prices and experimenting. And that's how you determine. If all of a sudden you're finding, well, there's these 10 things I do, but there's this one thing where people pay me 10 times more than these other things, I think I'll do more of that. I mean, that's essentially how I kind of fell into this niche. I'd done media training for many, many years, kind of on the side, but I had started a business, and one of my .com startup fell apart 23 years ago. And I was trying to sell my services as someone who could make, they didn't call them podcasts because it didn't exist. I was making audio press releases for companies, video press releases for companies. I was helping people pitch startup funding. I was doing all these things. And what I found is I was really only selling a day of media training. So after a while, I stopped doing these other things, instead started on just focusing on that one thing I did of value. Okay. Barb says, so Barb, I'm hoping that answered a little bit more. Barb says, I'm honored to have many young people from foreign countries as friends. They have voiced their concerns about Americans seeking them out for cheap services on Fiverr and Upwork. Okay. So if you're concerned about it, don't do the work. I apologize if that sounds glib, but I think it was Reinhold Niebuhr, the famous theologian, who once said, the only thing worse than being exploited is not being exploited. Everyone at some point in history and the economic development of their country goes through certain phases where they feel dramatically exploited by other people. In the United States, before there was organized labor, you had people working 7 days a week, 12 hours a day, feeling horribly exploited, and for meager pay. So this is something that I do think is a part of capitalism. And I'm not here to tell you capitalism is perfect. Capitalism isn't perfect. And it is sometimes unfairly rewards certain people and unfairly punishes others. To me, what is exciting about the modern world is, let's say you go on Fiverr or Upwork, it can be the starting point of a relationship. I know I've worked with some people where we started the relationship out on Fiverr, but it led to a larger engagement and a longer engagement. And after several years, the relationship became so important to the point where they now are getting double the salary of what people in their own country of comparable education and credentials are making. So it worked out well for them, even though short term, it wasn't a lot of money. But the same is true in the United States. So many industries are just used to people working for free. Forget $5 a gig or $5 an hour or $5 a day. There are countless industries in the United States for a long time where the expectation is you would gladly work for free. If you wanted to go into broadcast journalism and work for Charlie Rose, the expectation is you would be an intern for free until there was a lawsuit that kind of stopped that. If you wanted to make it big in the museum art world in the United States, there's an expectation that you would just work for free for years. And ideally, you have a rich daddy who would give contributions to the museum just to get you the opportunity to work for free. So it's like that in a lot of different industries. Architecture historically has been like that, where architecture is a profession that is highly desirable to a lot of people. And in many cases, the first year, or certainly internships that last months and months and months, the expectation was not that you'd work for $5, but that you would work for free. So everyone has to grapple with that. I do think I'm sympathetic to people who work in other foreign countries, but I can tell you it does happen everywhere, in not necessarily every industry, but in a lot of industries. To me, the answer is you've got to be experimenting. Until you've got the perfect full-time job with all the pay and benefits you want, don't count on any one supplier, any one company, any one client meeting all of your needs. And what's so exciting about today versus when I was a kid is there's so many different ways of you can just create your own business. I mean, I could create a business mowing lawns, but it was really, really hard to just start any kind of meaningful business. You couldn't start a worldwide business or a scalable business. When I was a kid growing up or just out of college, you really had to focus on the full-time job. These days, you can be anywhere in the world. And if you have some technical skills and some ability to communicate, you can start all kinds of businesses and work your way up the value chain. Now, at some point, we're getting a little more political than I really try to do here, but at some point there could be worldwide regulation. There's talk already about worldwide wealth tax. I'm let other people debate that. At some point in the future, there could be a worldwide minimum wage. How that could be enforced offhand, I don't really know. From an individual standpoint, I think the answer is keep learning new skills, keep learning hard skills, hard technical skills that other people need. And if you can either teach them how to do it, show them how to do it, or do it for them, you can keep working your way up the value chain. That, I think, is the answer for people at the individual level. At the societal level, I think what people do in Scandinavia, getting constant training and minimum wage and benefits, is a better way for most people. But now we're getting too political, and that's not really the focus of this channel. But thanks for the provocative questions. I do appreciate that, Barb. I want to go back and answer a few other questions that came in. Plus, we're going to try to do some Amazon influencer videos. But first, we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to look at a couple of ads. And I hope this will whet your appetite to either become an Amazon influencer or an influencer for Walmart or TikTok or Facebook. Get in the game and use your speaking skills if you can speak. Use the fact that you probably already have a video camera and a mini video production studio, and get in the game and make a little side gig money. All right, be back in just a moment after these commercial messages. Magical. I no longer have to have matches around the house or lighters with lighter fluid. This electric lighter, I don't even know how it does it, but it lights, handles anything I need. I like to think I'm the Incredible Hulk and so strong I can open any jar, but I can't. That's why I love this. It helps me get any jar, any top off quickly and easily. Want to show Mom you love her? Well, what better than a cup that says, I love Mom. This is a hit on Mother's Day or any other day. I love fresh garlic in my food, but I can't stand mashing it up myself. That's why I love this garlic press. It is clean, easy to use, easy to clean up, and makes my food taste great. Father's Day is a special day in my household. This year, my daughter gave me this, world's greatest father. She does have a sense of humor and likes to tease Dad a little bit. In my household, we use Cascade Platinum Plus. It's simple, it's easy to use, there's no mess. I take it and throw it in the dishwasher. Don't have to worry about it. Get a big box so it lasts a long time. Let's face it, sometimes kitchens, bathrooms, homes don't smell perfectly. That's why Febreze air is in our house. It quickly makes any room smell better. This Kenneth Cole all leather reaction bag is fantastic. 10 years. It looks as good as the day I bought it. You're gonna love it. I love these water shoes. I live in Florida and I take my daughter to water parks frequently. And if you're barefoot, your feet hurt too much by the end of the day. Or sometimes going on a beach where there's coral. These will protect. When I'm not on camera, I wear glasses all day long. They get dirty, they get greasy. I love my Magic Fiber. It cleans it so easily, quickly. I try to keep one in my pocket, in my briefcase, and at home at all times. Do you see the sunshine here? No, you don't, because these are great blackout curtains. I have them in my TV studio, and it keeps the light out and gives me what I need, control of the lighting. This 128 gigabyte SanDisk is massive. I produce lots of video every day for things like this. I need something that can store it. This is the ticket, 128 gigabytes. This curtain rod does exactly what I asked it to do. Now these are heavy blackout curtains, but no problem. The curtain stays up all the time. The rod does exactly what it needs to do. This rug is perfect for my TV studio. It blends in, it doesn't distract, it doesn't get too busy the way this carpet. In breaking news, by a vote of 352 to 65, the United States Congress has passed legislation requiring ByteDance, the Chinese company, to divest itself from TikTok, the popular social media app. Now, coincidentally, we spent time on TikTok today. I did my first live stream on TikTok. We did a joint simulcast here earlier this morning. I don't think there's any relationship there as to why that legislation happened. So what is this going to do to TikTok? Are they just going to shut it down? Are they going to sell it to some new owner that messes? I don't really know. More important, I don't really care. I don't mean to sound cavalier. We can debate the public policy issues of these. I'm happy to do so on another channel. My point is, I'm not putting all my eggs in one basket, and I don't want you to is either. Don't invest all of your energy just on TikTok or YouTube or Facebook, because you can get kicked off. You're just a renter on any of these properties. That's why I try to diversify and be on as many social media platforms as possible. There are different schools of thought, but it does not feel good to spend thousands of hours building up some property and then it just gets taken away. That happened to me before on YouTube, where a channel was just removed overnight. So I'm happy to talk to the hundreds and hundreds of people we spoke to today on TikTok. But if TikTok gets banned tomorrow from the United States, as it is in India currently and a few other places, it's not going to upset me much, because I am diversifying, and I urge you to diversify as well. And that's one other thought came to me, Barb, when it came to your question. To me, the ultimate way of determining your worth, if you're a remote worker, and everyone's remote to someone else. I'm a remote worker to clients who hire me in Thailand, in India. So everyone is a remote worker. The ultimate way of determining your value, I believe, is to create your own business and to create your own intellectual property. Could be courses, could be books, could be podcasts with advertising revenue, could be YouTube video with advertising revenue. But the ultimate way of having bargaining power, if someone wants to hire you for a gig, a day, a week, a month, the ultimate way of determining your value, I believe, is to have a lot of your intellectual property out in the world working for you at all times. When I go to bed at night, I've got 200 and some courses, all marketing for me. It's not that every single course makes money every day, but potentially they're all making money. I've got a handful of books out there, all working for me. I have teeny slices of revenue possibilities coming in because people can watch a YouTube video of mine and I get a tiny slice of that. I've got a tiny slice of revenue coming in from Amazon influencer videos. So when when you essentially own your own business, I don't own Amazon obviously or YouTube, and I don't own Udemy. But when you own intellectual property on lots and lots of different properties around the world, and you have different revenue sources coming in, then you get to call the shots on what you charge. Then you can essentially charge what you want. You might get to the point in your life where if you've never made more than $50 a day, but you've got enough revenue coming in, you can now say, I'm not going to do anything for less than $100 a day. Janice Dickinson, a very famous supermodel from the 1990s, I believe, said, I don't get out of bed for less than $10,000 a day. It all depends on the revenue sources you have coming in and your ability to say no. And be comfortable with the idea of you can say, here's my price. If other people want to say no, that's fine. So that's really the ultimate issue, I think, Barb, is we live in a world now where anyone can start a worldwide business. Anyone can start a digital content creation business. Doesn't have to be a course, doesn't have to be a book, doesn't have to be a YouTube channel with advertising. There's so many options, but the options are there. And if you have a cell phone, you have a video production studio that 30 years ago would have cost you $200,000. You might as well use it. Okay, we don't have a lot of time left. Oh, I wanted to go to Andrew's question about what's the worst case of speaking anxiety you've seen. Okay, let me address that. And let me look at the time, 2:11. I'll never forget the worst case of speaking anxiety I ever saw. I was conducting presentation skills training. It was at an oil refinery in New Jersey, of all places. A handful of executives were there, just trying to get more comfortable with delivering presentations to colleagues, their boss, directors meeting. They were not going to be up on stage in front of 10,000 people. And it was time for Mary to stand up and speak. The first three had already finished. Mary stands up. I turn the camera on to record it. And all of a sudden, she's on the floor. She's on the ground. She is in the fetal position and she is crying. What's going on? What's happening? I turn the camera off. We gently, and I've changed the names to protect privacy. We got her up, started talking, and she just, I have a deathly fear of speaking. Well, I can tell you, it did make an impression. I don't remember what anyone else said that day. I do remember her falling down, going into the fetal position, and being that nervous. Now, Mary maybe had a stronger case of stage fright than most people, but it's inside all of us. All of us at some level have a fear or a discomfort about speaking in front of people. And it is because evolutionary biologists believe we are programmed to fear being seen by others because there's more exposure. Now, way out on the savannah, hundreds of thousands of years ago, if you're standing up and clearly visible by people and animals, you are more likely to be prey for a saber-toothed tiger or some other animal. If they can see you, you're exposed, it's dangerous. So if you are aware of being seen by others, it makes complete sense that you're feeling nervous and scared. And for most of human history, if you encountered another human being who was not in your tribe, it was completely irrational to hide, fall down, make yourself hidden, because if someone was from another tribe, they might kill you for fear that if they don't, you will kill them first. So again, it makes sense. It's logical to be afraid. So
if you're feeling like this, you're not unusual. It's not weird. You're not strange, but it is something to overcome. Thankfully, we did get this woman up. We said, let's sit down and talk. Imagine you're talking to this one person about what you've done in your division in the last week. Well, that all of a sudden was easy to her. Then we brought another person in. We did it. And I said, okay, we're just going to record this. No one's ever going to see it. We're not putting it on YouTube. We did that. So we built her comfort level up little by little to the point where she was as good as anyone else. Anyone can learn to be a good public speaker, even a great public speaker. Now, you might not want to, but you can. So she's not alone. There's some famous speakers who were like that. Barbara, and now I forgot her name, the woman from Shark Tank. I want to use this in a long form video. Note to editor, don't use this part. The famous real estate woman, Corcoran. Okay. Now, note to editor, continue from this. Barbara Corcoran makes a living talking to millions of people on Shark Tank, television shows, keynote speeches. But her first speech ever, she stood up in front of real estate executives, went to speak. Nothing came out. Absolutely nothing. She froze. She panicked. She had to run out of the room. Not an auspicious start to a speaking career. And guess what? Today, she's wildly famous and speaks to millions of people around the globe every single month. So it's not uncommon to have horrible reactions when someone says stand up and speak, to be paralyzed by fear. But you can get over it. You can improve. You can build your comfort level, and you can get to the point where you can be really successful in your career and speak exactly the way you want to, anytime, anywhere. Okay. I didn't check. That was not really long enough to be a long, but I think that's all I want to say about that. So, Andrew, I hope that I do still remember that. I'm not making up any of that. She just fell on the floor and went into the fetal position. I mean, another memorable time, Andrew, is I was training a woman, recorded it, played it back, watched it. She started crying. I said, "What's wrong?" She said, "TJ, I hate the way I look, I hate the way I sound." Like, really? It was Miss Universe. She hated the way she looked, hated the way she sounded, and she was crying. It turns out she had just never seen herself on video before. Now, this was now about 15 years ago. So it was before cell phone video made everyone a video star. So that was another memorable time for a number of reasons. Now, that woman has since gone on to be a major television spokesperson and celebrity in her host country and is basically a full-time spokesperson. So she got over it as well. Okay, let's go to other questions. Shreya says, how to conduct ourselves when self-doubt kicks in during the presentation, interview, or conversation. Amir says the live is a quality. Great. Barb, I want to make sure. Okay, I think I addressed Barb's question. Let me come to Shreya's question. Then we are going to have to transition over to our segment demonstrating how to make Amazon influencer videos. So let me try to do a short form on the self-doubt. And then I'll do a long form. What do you do if you're in the middle of a presentation, a talk, or an interview, and all of a sudden that self-doubt creeps in? You're questioning how you're really doing here. It's a normal thing. It happens to everyone. But stop 1 minute. You need to reorient your focus. Focus 100% on helping this one person or this group of people in front of you. Self-doubt is a selfish thought. Focus on helping them. Make some idea come alive to them, useful to them after the presentation. That's when you can critique yourself and doubt and do everything else. Okay,
So that's kind of the short form version of that. Let me do a longer form version of that. And that may run out the clock, and then we'll head into the Amazon Influencer video segment. I do want to thank so many of you for spending time with me today. Our audience is building. It's a fun experience. Nobody that I know of just starts a YouTube channel and has instant success. Typically, it's flat for a long time or it's up and down. There's a guy, some of you are familiar with, Patrick Bet-David, who has a channel called Edutainment, and he's got like 5 million views, and he just seems like, you know, every video's got hundreds and hundreds of thousands, if not millions. He's talked about the fact that after a couple of years, he only had 2,000 subscribers. It took a long, long time. Evan Carmichael is another one, millions and millions of views, but after a couple of years, only a couple of thousand subscribers. It took a while. It took a while. So I'm here for the long haul. What I really love and what makes this fun for me is the engagement from you. You're asking questions. I love it when you want to come on live. And as I mentioned before at the beginning of the show and throughout, you can always just join me right here on camera and post your questions. You can debate me. Tell me where you think I'm wrong. You can criticize my tie. You can criticize my pinstripe if you want. This is a free forum here. You can also get critiques on your latest speech or presentation. Now, we have people post videos of themselves that they would like me to critique from time to time, and I'm more than happy to do that. Something we haven't done much of, but I would love to do, is just come on live and give your pitch and get live feedback. Certainly, if you're about to go into a big job interview, you might want to practice what you say when someone says, "So tell me about yourself." If you are an entrepreneur, several of you commenting earlier today are aspiring entrepreneurs, and you want to practice your pitch presentation, you can do it right here live, and I'll give you live feedback. Nothing wrong with that. I have served as a judge before at a number of startup competitions in New York City. So I have a lot of experience judging in real time people's pitch presentations, if you ever want to take advantage of that. Okay, so we're going to hop into this long form question, or long form answer to this question. And let me pull it up again. But what do you do if self-doubt kicks in during the presentation, interview, or conversation? Okay, so let me hit live, record, camera one. By the way, quick feedback. I've adjusted this light in the back. Several of you, and I agree, were nice enough to say it's a little distracting. I've angled it down more so that when I stand, now I'm tripping, so that when I stand here, I'm hoping it's less distracting. But I would love your feedback on this light. We continue to tweak things. I've not yet figured out how to keep the lights behind me all in the same color, but it is a work in progress. So I'm going to try to cover that light, and we go from there. Okay, so let me make note of the time, 12:23. What do you do if you're in the middle of a presentation, a talk, even a job interview, and all of a sudden you're kind of overwhelmed with self-doubt? You're thinking, how am I doing? This isn't really going that well. Self-doubt is creeping into you while you're actually giving the presentation. Well, if that's ever happened to you, you're not alone. It's happened to everyone at some point. It's happened to me. Here's what I need you to really focus on. Focus on the person or the people you're speaking to, and just tell yourself, what ideas do I have that they are going to value the most? The second you are doubting yourself, what you're really doing is saying to the audience, hey, you're not really important. This is about me, 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 me. You're being selfish. Now, everyone's selfish. I'm selfish. But I need you to focus in the moment just on helping the person in front of you, whether it's one person, 10 people, or 10,000. Focus all of your energies on giving more examples, more insights, telling more stories that are going to help
that person. Believe me, there's plenty of time after the fact for you to pick apart your presentation, to second guess yourself, to doubt yourself. There's time for that. There's a lot of time for that. The only time we don't want to do it is right now when you're in the middle of the presentation, because if you're trying to talk to someone, but meanwhile, there's a thought bubble of, uh-oh, they don't think this is really going very well. It's going to mess up the stuff here that you're actually talking about. It's going to mess up the tone of your voice. It's going to mess up the expressions on your face. It's going to tighten up your body language. It's going to get uncomfortable really quickly. That doesn't help you. Now, look, I'm selfish. We're all selfish at some point. I want you to be selfish at that moment and realize nothing good can happen to me if I'm doubting myself in this talk, this briefing, this presentation, this job interview. I'm just going to give it my best. I'm going to really look at that person or the audience, do everything I can to try to help them. Now, if it's a job interview, I'm going to help them by giving them reasons why I'd be great for the job, by telling them stories about my successes that would be relevant to helping their organization do better. That's helping them. If I am giving a briefing to people in my industry about some new technology my company's involved with, I need to focus on the fact that this technology is going to help them be more productive. It's going to help them make more money. It's going to help them have better quarterly earnings. It's going to help them give salaries and raises to their employees. When you focus on the benefit to other people, you're not going to have time to think about poor little me. It's about focus. Now, I understand it can happen, but think about times when you know someone is so focused on doing something, you don't think about anything else. Imagine your child is about to walk in front of a speeding bus or truck, and you're 10 feet behind, and they're 3 feet away from stepping off the curb. Here it comes. At that moment, you're not thinking about, how am I doing? How's my voice? Am I yelling too loud? No, you're just screaming, hey, Rosa, get out of the road. You're going to get killed. You're screaming. You're so passionate about helping that one person at that moment. In this case, your own child saving a life. You're not thinking about, how am I looking? Or am I running? Am I sweating? Is my voice cracking? No. You're 100% obsessed over helping that person through your speaking. In this case, yelling and screaming, saying, don't step in front of the truck. Now, I realize if you're giving a quarterly report on paper sales in your company because you work for Dunder Mifflin, the stakes are not quite as high, but still the basic principle is the same. If you're focused 100% on one person or several people or individuals throughout your audience of how you can truly help them, it's just not going to occur to you to have a pity party, to be doubting yourself and guessing and wondering, how am I doing? How am I doing? Now, I do want you to be responsive. If you see a number of people are looking at you and they're looking confused, that's helpful advice. It's not that you're doing anything poorly, but something isn't clear. Give yourself praise for actually noticing and paying attention, because so many people are oblivious. They're reading a script, they're turning their back to the audience and looking at PowerPoint. They wouldn't even notice if half their audience members fell over dead. So if you're getting indications from the audience that they are confused or concerned, stop and say, I feel like I'm not really doing a great job communicating this. Let me give you an even better example. Give another example to flesh out the point you just made. Don't make it sound like you think they're dumb for not getting it. Put the blame on yourself mildly. So let me try to do something that I think might help, and I might be better at explaining it this way. Give another example, another case story. You do want to be receptive to your audience, but you don't want to make that put you in a bad mood. You simply want to use it as accurate feedback to help you calibrate what you're saying in case you need to explain things in more detail. Now, you may occasionally have someone where they're looking at their watch constantly and they're looking at the clock, and maybe you thought you had an hour for the job interview, but it started at 11:40. It's now 11:55, and you can hear the person's stomach rumbling and they're looking at their watch. Well, they want to go to lunch probably, so don't count on it being an hour. Then you have to calibrate. You have to think, out of all the things I was planning on saying in this hour, let me focus on one or two ideas that are most important, one or two examples that will make this point come through, and try to finish up in the next 5 minutes. So you do want to be aware of feedback you're getting from your audience, but you do not want to use that to make you feel bad. You want to use it to make your presentation even more effective, more useful, and more helpful to the audience. Focus on them while you're presenting. You can focus on yourself later. Okay, so I forgot what time that started. So that's one of the things I've got to work on, is when I'm measuring these, trying to hit the 8-minute mark. I got to figure out, I think it was it may have been right at 7 minutes. If anyone wants to help me out timing these, would be very much helpful, but you don't have to. Okay, so we may have time for one or two more questions. I may go to the ChatGPT questions. So many good ones came up today, both here from you and from ChatGPT. But now I'm going to switch gears and go to the part of our segment, our show, where we make Amazon influencer videos. So the first step, I'm going to take my cell phone. I'm going to plug in the receiver. And today I'm going to test it because 2 days ago I forgot to test. And you may remember we in fact had no audio on the videos, and I had to delete all of those audios. I'm now going to power the microphone on till I see the green light. I see the green light. I should note you do not have to use an additional microphone. The microphones on iPhones and a lot of cell phones these days are great. But all things being equal, better audio, a microphone a few inches from your mouth is going to be a lot better than the audio that comes from a microphone that is 5 feet away, especially if you're outside, especially if you have hard floors. Now, the room I'm in, the studio I'm in, has a rug on top of a carpet. It's got curtains. It also has sound panels. But even with all of that, I have found there's a huge difference in the audio quality from just recording 5 feet away on my cell phone versus using this microphone and the receiver. So I'm now going to pull out the stand. I'm going to take off the remote control. That's what I'll be using when I'm making the videos, because I do everything in one take without editing. So let me maybe try this angle today, give you a better sense of what I'm doing and a sense of being here. So those of you who haven't been with me regularly on this, I am in the Amazon Influencer Program. I'm not an official paid spokesperson or anything like that. I'm just one of their average influencers. And what I'm doing in segments here with you is just demonstrating how I make videos. But it's not sort of a simulation. It's not me talking about it. It's me actually making the videos, soup to nuts, and then I show you how I post it. I'm doing this in part because I want you to think about becoming an influencer yourself. It doesn't have to be Amazon. It could be Facebook has them, TikTok has them, Target has them. There are a lot of different places where you can make product reviews and be an influencer, even if you're not as wildly famous as Kim Kardashian, because certainly I'm not. Okay. I'm pulling out, I pulled out some things from my closet today.
Wow, I should have polished these shoes a little more, but they still look pretty shiny. Okay, so again, what I'm doing here with these Amazon influencer videos is I'm doing it in vertical. You can see the phone is up and down. It's not horizontal. I'm trying to do these in under 15 seconds. And I just want to say something positive and upbeat. They're not scripted. They are simply me sharing thoughts of why I like a product. You know what? I'm going to just take 1 second and polish these shoes. They do, because they have a tremendous shine. These are, I don't know if you can see, they're sort of patent leather shoes. Very shiny. Okay. Now, let me turn my remote off and back on. I see the blue light, so it seems to be working. Nothing shouts out elegance like these patent leather black men's dress shoes from Hugo Boss. I've had these for 15 years, and it makes every black tie event something to remember. Okay, that's not exactly the wording I would use, but now I'm going to play it. Now I'm going to play it back to see if I hear it, because I made a whole bunch of videos the other day, and I had not properly charged the receiver. And I'm hearing audio. Okay, so we know it works. So now I'm going to make the next one. So I'm going to do these shoe trees. So I didn't notice it till now. These are cedar shoe trees, but it has Salvador Ferragamo. I don't know if these are sold separately. What I do know for a fact is having cedar shoe trees really preserves the life of your shoe. And these shoes, I don't wear them that often. I don't go to black tie events that often. But these shoes are 15 years old. I've had these with when I got my handmade tuxedo, and they still look great because I keep them with a cedar shoe tree. So let me address it that way. But I don't know if Salvador Ferragamo sells the shoe trees independently, or if it's only when you buy a shoe from Ferragamo, which I once did. It's probably where I got these. Cedar shoe trees, they really do work magic, preserving and protecting and extending the life of your shoes. Everybody's feet sweats, and yours are no exception. Put these in, your shoes will last longer. It was a little rushed there because I was aware that I was running up to the 15-second mark. And that seems to be a threshold with Amazon influencer videos, where I've just noticed my videos that are 15 seconds or shorter get a tremendous number of views. My longer videos don't. Now, I've not yet figured out a way of tracking to see if I don't perhaps get more sales from the longer ones. I can't prove that yet. But the numbers are so skewed where 95% of all my views are coming from the shorts. So that's why I decided several weeks ago that I was simply going to focus on doing the vertical shorts. So this is a technology bag that I've used for cameras, I believe. And it opens and closes in a lot of different ways. And there's a lot of protection. But I have not used it in a while, but it certainly has the look and feel of something new. I tend not to carry my video equipment around because I want to keep things where they are once I figured out how they work. Those of you who are regular viewers know I have enough of a tricky time figuring out how the cameras work. So the last thing I want to do is be moving them around and doing things on location. So this is the MTS mount. Wow, what I don't know is if it's pronounced Topic or Topic. I'm just going to call it an equipment bag, and people can see what it is. If you've got expensive camera gear like I do, the last thing you want to do is have them broken when you're traveling. I trust and use this camera bag. It's full of protection. It's full of safety features, and I went too long. So I'm going to hit delete on that. Got to pull up the camera app again, video. If you ever have to travel with expensive camera gear like I do, you're going to want protection. You can't just use any old bag. I trust this bag to really keep my equipment safe. Okay. So that's one where, I mean, I typically am endorsing products that I use a lot, or like I don't wear these shoes a lot, but I've worn these at many of the most memorable events of my life. Formal occasions, black tie events. And so I do like the shoes. They have, I'm tough on shoes. I really scuff them up. These with just a little shine would look brand new. And I am a big believer in shoe trees, because without them, your shoes can disintegrate. It really is worth it for shoes you wear regularly. I don't wear dress shoes much anymore because I'm here in South Florida. And I wear Crocs on a regular basis. Okay. Bath and Body Works hand sanitizer. Okay. I'm assuming Bath and Body Works is available on Amazon. My family and I go out to dinner almost every night, and something we like to bring with us, the Bath and Body Works hand sanitizer. It's quick, it's easy, and it makes us feel cleaner. So note, I was very careful there not to say something like it kills germs and makes things safer, because Amazon does not want you giving anything that could be construed as medical advice. So I just said it makes me feel cleaner, which is true. Okay. Samsung. Now, here's something I should do more of. With so many products you get, there's individual pieces sold separately. And really smart Amazon influencers will do videos for every single component piece. They don't just do the one thing. So if you're selling a coffee maker, the coffee pot is a special product because people can buy coffee pots separate from the coffee maker. So this is a remote control for Samsung. Now I have a tile on it, which is a separate product. I could do one on that today, but I'm not going to. So I'm just going to talk about this Samsung remote control. I love my Samsung TV and the remote control that comes with it. Unfortunately, I broke mine in the chair and I had to buy another one. So if you need good remote controls for your Samsung, these do the job. Just don't leave it in your chair. So that time, I liked it, but when I hit stop, it didn't stop. So now I have that extra and it's too long, so I have to do it over again. You know what? I think my pocket square is too high. Okay. All right, so let's do that over. Now my pocket square is too skewed. Okay. And I want to thank, and Avery, I do see you. We do have a few minutes left, so I'll come to you. This is the last one I have to do, and then we'll come to you if you have a question. Okay. I love my Samsung TV, but I foolishly crushed my remote control in my reclining chair. I had to buy an extra, and this works perfectly. The Samsung remotes are quality. That one worked. Okay. All right, so I'm going to show you in our remaining time, after we go to Avery, how do we go from, again, the concept, I shot the videos, but we actually have to get them in the store. So I will show you how to do that momentarily. But first, I do try to be responsive to people who are nice enough to show up live. And at this stage, we're sort of just a month into this show, still figuring things out. We don't have 10,000 people in the waiting list, so I try to be responsive to everyone who wants to come on with a question. Avery, how are you today? And if you do want to turn on your camera, you can. If you want to turn on your microphone, you can. There you are.
Yeah.
How are you today?
Yeah, good. Fine. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, I hear you fine, although we can barely see you. Your head is sort of way down here. If you want to angle your camera, there we go. Great.
Yeah.
So tell us what you're working on and what's your biggest communications challenge these days?
There's course recording.
You're recording courses. Great. And what's the topic of your course?
There's PMP, product management.
Project management. Okay. That's a huge, huge industry. And there are entire institutions. I once went to I think there's some major project management institute in New York City. I know at one point we explored doing joint venture courses together. It didn't happen, but it's a huge, huge industry. And it's also an industry where there's a tremendous emphasis put on training. So you're in a great space. How are you recording your videos now?
With a webcam and PPT.
Okay. And do you have any videos ready? Would you like to show us and get some feedback?
Yeah, as I saw your course and whatever you're telling, no, like focusing on the camera middle and all these things I observed in my videos. So I want to change that.
Okay. Well, more than happy to help give feedback. I can give feedback. Others in the community here could give you.
I'll give you
feedback.
actually in this laptop. It's not there. I will send you in the Facebook link.
Okay. And even better, just come by live tomorrow. We'll be doing several live shows tomorrow. We'll be here 9 a.m. to about 9:45. And then if you're one of the Udemy students, you can come join our special private session at 10 a.m. and get critiques not only from me, but from Barb and others in that session.
Which area?
Well, if you're a Udemy student, if you just go to your course, typically within the first 3 lectures, there is a link to my Udemy Facebook page for students.
Yes. Yeah.
And if you're not a member, you'll need to apply, but all you really have to do is say which course you're in and answer a few questions, and then
already.
But I would do it quickly so you'll be ready for tomorrow.
Yeah, I was a member of your group in Facebook already.
Okay, great. So you're already in. So just come by tomorrow, or you can come back here this time tomorrow.
10 a.m. of which country timing?
I'm sorry. Well, right now it's 11:49 Eastern time in the United States. So we'll be on this time tomorrow. So if you want to come, let's say an hour earlier, if you want to come an hour earlier, we will be live right here. That's a sure thing. Hey, tell me, when is your course going to go live?
Maybe some 10 days.
10 days. Great. Well, my biggest piece of advice, give yourself a deadline. Make sure it's as good as you can. Have other people look at it and give you feedback. And then get it out there. Get it out there. Start getting feedback from people. Start getting reviews. No one's great at. Is this your first course?
Yes.
Okay. So no one's an overnight success with their first course. I had 5 courses my first month and I made $0. And now I have 2 million students. So don't wait for it to be perfect. Don't second guess yourself. Let's get the course up and out. And if there's a problem, listen to people and make changes. I remember once it was my complete media training course. I had put a lot of content, and the first 30 videos, people were complaining, saying, "Oh, your audio is no good." I'm like, what do these people know? Everybody's a critic. Why do these idiots have to complain? That was my thought. And then I went and listened to it, and sure enough, there was an audio problem. I deleted all of them, had to redo it, but did it in a few hours, got it up, and then the reviews that were giving me 2s and 3s, they upgraded them, and all the new students who came in upgraded it, and it became the bestseller in the niche. So ideally, I would have found that error before posting it, but get something up and out and then start improving it. That's my biggest piece of advice.
Actually, I posted one video in one of the course in Udemy.
Okay.
I don't know whether you have seen it or not. It's
Great.
possible.
Well,
Just
if I missed it, if it happened in the last day, I'll take another look. But otherwise, feel free to post any one of the videos in the Udemy student platform, a Facebook
Sure.
page, group,
Sure,
and I
I'll
will
do that.
take a
I'll
look
do
at
that
it.
one.
All right,
I'll do
Avery,
that.
thanks so much, and we'll hope to see you tomorrow. Thanks.
Sure,
Take care.
sure. Thank you. Thank you. Nice to talk to you.
Likewise. Okay, so in our remaining time, I want to again show you exactly step by step how the Amazon Influencer Program works, or how I do it, I should say. There's a lot of different ways of doing things in the world of video production. So the first, you saw me shoot the videos. I think with one except, maybe 2 exceptions, I did it in one take. I try to do them in one take, but if not, the simplest, most effective editing I find is just hit delete and do it again. So I'm going to go to Safari in my case. I'm going to go to the bar for URLs. I'm going to type in Amazon. I see my page. I click on it. I hit create content. I hit post. I go to my photo library, which also has videos, and I click the most recent video. I hit done, and it's now uploading. So it's processing the video. It's uploading it. And it's going to take just a moment. This is often the most time-consuming part, but it's typically less than 30 seconds. So now I'm going to go to your order, since I know I ordered that remote control off of Amazon. Samsung TV remote. And there it is. I see the one. And it is comforting to see that I'm not the only one who likes it, because it has 10,000, almost 11,000 reviews, a 4.5 rating, and it's very hard to go wrong. If you have 10,000 reviews and a 4.5 rating, that tells me you have a quality product. Get the real thing, comma, this Samsung remote works perfectly. So Amazon doesn't want you disparaging competitors. I initially was going to say, don't waste time with universal remotes, but that's disparaging something that calls itself a universal remote. So I edited it in my own mind on the fly, which I understand if you feel like that's intimidating, you can't do it. Do enough of these and it will happen. You just get to the point where you're thinking, recording, on camera at the same time. It happens quickly. So that's one down. I hit create content. I hit post video, photo library. I hit the next one. And this is the hand sanitizer. Now, I don't know if Bed Bath & Beyond, Bath and Body Works product is on. Sometimes I'll do this and the company decides it's not making its stuff available on Amazon, in which case I just delete. Another way of doing it is checking first, which you could do and probably should do. So I don't know if we got this. This is a product that my wife bought. Bath and Body Works Cucumber Melon Sanitizer. I can dictate a lot faster than I can type. And Avery, is this your video you just posted? Because it just says Facebook user. If you sign in and create an account with StreamYard, I would see who it is. Whoever just posted that video. Okay, I do in fact see the sanitizer. Again, it's got a 4.5 star. Does not as many stars, but I'm a little reluctant to review something that has like a 2.5, 3-star rating, even if I liked it, because that tells me a lot of people had problems with the product. So hit done. Convenient size for cleaning your hands on the go. I do a quick look to make sure the dictation worked well and there's no typos or wrong words or a synonym or something that doesn't make sense. So we finished that one. Create content. Photo library. I go to the next one. This is that bag, which I think I got a B&H video. I'm not sure. Avery, can you specify, did the video link, is that yours or is that someone else's? This is uploading. And whoever the Facebook user is, do you just mind giving us a name of the topic? And even though we're about done, we will get to it. I see a few other chats have come in. Oh, Avery, I think that was you. You posted the video. So we will take a look at that before we leave. Okay. So browse history. And now I forgot which product I was doing. Excuse me. Oh, it's the bag. Yes. Okay. So I'm going to hit tag. I don't think I got this on Amazon. So this one, I'm going to just search all of Amazon. And I can't dictate it because it's not a regular word. I'm going to put TOPEAK strap MTS mount. And I'm going to hit search. Okay, the bag shows up. It's a 4.5-star bag. People really like it. Oh, you know what? So this is embarrassing. This is a bag to go on my bicycle. And I do like this bag, and I did use it. But what that means is I cannot use the video that I made because it makes absolutely no sense. I would look like a fool. So I'm going to have to delete that. I'm going to discard that. I want to go back into my videos and simply delete that video. So let's see, that one. Okay. Now, before I forget, let me just do another quick one. And I'm just going to do this one handheld. So I do want you to realize, I've got a tripod, I put a mic on. You don't have to be that fancy. There's a lot of different ways of doing these things. So I'm going to turn it around, and just so I don't forget with my flow. So I'm going to go to video. Now this is interesting. I think I actually filled up my storage, and there is in fact no room left in my phone. So these are the sort of mundane issues that crop up for content creators, YouTubers, anyone who makes content, whether you make online courses, Amazon influencer videos. Let me see if I can just very, very quickly delete a handful. I think that may be what's causing the issue. So let me go in, look at my library. I obviously don't want to delete the ones I just made that I've not uploaded yet. So I'm going to quickly delete ones that I know I've already used, which should in theory then give me enough space on this phone so that I can redo that one. Otherwise, I'm concerned it will get lost in the workflow of what we're doing here. So I just deleted 37 items. I'm now going to go back to my camera and hit not now. I'm going to I'm going to exit out of the photo app. Okay, it's doing it this side. Now it's working. Okay. And so I do want to do this one while I've still got it. You know what? This is going to be a little too hard to balance. I'm going to put it right here next to me so I don't have to hold it. If I'm going biking, I may want to take some stuff with me, a picnic lunch. I love this bag. I can put a lot or a little. It fits perfectly on my bike. Get it. Okay. Something happened there, and I don't think that one was recorded. Yeah, that one was not recorded. Let's try one more time. Or was it? Be a picnic lunch. I love this bag. I can put a lot. Okay, it was recorded. All right, so we're going to go ahead and put that one on. Could that one have been a little better? Sure. Would it have been even better if I did it on my bike? Yes. Would it have been even better if I'm riding my bike and I stop and pull it off? Yes, yes, yes. I'm not holding myself out as the person who knows how to do the perfect Amazon influencer video to make the maximum amount of profit. What I'm doing is simply showing you one influencer's techniques in sort of the beginning phase to do as many tests. In the next week or so, I'll have 500 different product views, and I've gotten more than 100 sales so far. So I'm looking to see what works, what resonates, that sort of thing. So now let me go back to the Amazon influencer page, create content, photo post, photo library. Now I'm going to do the one that I just did. I'm going to hit done. It's processing the video. It's uploading the video. And I see a few more questions have come in, and we're after the 3-hour mark. I may have to beg off till tomorrow for some of these. I apologize. Browse history. Now I'm going to type in the name again. Big bike bag. Okay. Now I see the bag. Tagging the product. Take what you need for your next bike trip. Exclamation point. So I'm hitting done. I'm hitting submit. Now I go to the storefront. I believe that's 3 products that we've done soup to nuts. Concept, shooting it, editing it, uploading it, processing it, labeling it, and submitting it for approval. We're going to go to the next one. 1, 2, 3. Okay, now it's the shoe tree, I believe. Now this is a slightly different one because it is a brand, and I don't know if I'm just going to type in cedar shoe tree. I don't know that the cedar shoe trees make that much of a difference. The brand, I am a huge, huge fan of cedar shoe trees because they really do keep the shape of your shoe, and they keep it in so much better condition for years. I don't wear many leather shoes on a regular basis anymore, so it's not something I think about regularly, but I've used these for 20 some years. They really do extend the life of your shoe. Okay. Cedar shoe tree Ferragamo. I'm going to see if Ferragamo has one. I don't know that they do. So in this case, I'm going to feel pretty comfortable recommending virtually any shoe tree. So here's one that's got 3,000 reviews. And it looks like one I do have as well, although it wasn't this one. It's got 3,000 reviews, 5-star rating. So it's pretty hard to go wrong with that. Tag the product. Hitting done. Extend the life of your dress shoe now! Exclamation point. Now, I hope that doesn't get construed by Amazon as a health claim. It's the life of a shoe is very different from life of a human or an animal. Okay, go to storefront. Create content, post video, photo library. And now we're going to the Hugo Boss shoes. Now, I don't know if they make these shoes anymore. I would think if they don't, there's something pretty close to it, because men's patent leather dress shoes for formal attire, something has been around for many, many, many decades. So I would have to think there's something relevant there. I would ask, for those of you who've posted some questions, if you could do me a favor, I'll make you first tomorrow. But what I need you to do is go to my YouTube page, go to the community tab, post your comment there. And then I'll see it. You can post on whatever the most recent one I have. I will see it. And that way we'll come to you first tomorrow. I think that's fair. Okay, browse history. Okay. Hugo Boss men's patent leather dress shoes. They are there, but I can't tell from this image whether these look like lace-ups. Let me do a search for the slip-ons. These do not have laces. So let me go back. I didn't do that. I shouldn't have hit back. Now I got to upload the thing again. Photo library. Okay, done. It is uploading it again. I don't know I guess I'll call that a slip-on shoe. Do that in just a moment. I want to thank so many of you who have stayed with me the whole time. As I've mentioned before, this is not a slick, fancy show. This is bringing you into my workshop, letting you know how I actually create speaking-related products, whether it's an online course, whether it's a YouTube short form, long form video, whether it's an Amazon influencer video commercial. So I uploaded that photo library. You know, this is one of the problems of trying to multitask. I think I just did the same thing 3 times. Let me upload this again. I thought it was in there. I don't know why it sent me back to that page. So let me stare at this without trying to talk to you and multitask, and then we'll go ahead and finish up for the day. Anything you liked today, please post a comment. Anything that gave you value today, post a comment. Things that you thought were awful today and you don't want me to ever do again, post a comment. I would very much like to get your ideas. So, uploading it. I'm getting some kind of a loop. Let me get out of that whole page. Something has happened that has never happened before with Amazon. As I was posting a product, and after I uploaded it, it sent me back to the same page. So I've never seen that happen before. I'm hitting done. It may be because I've already uploaded it and it thinks I'm trying to overwhelm the system somehow. So I may have to go in from my desktop and edit the one that is already up there, because I don't know why else it would be doing that, because it's sending me, it's sending me to a page that I've just never seen it do that before. So I'm going to have to go into the page and do that. That may be a sign that I'm talking too long. I want to thank you for joining me today. It's been a fun-filled, action-packed 3 hours. Part of me wants to go another 3 hours, but part of me says, let's stop right here and get ready for more fun tomorrow. So to Shreya, I do want to thank you. You've asked some questions here. how to make devil. Okay, something may have gotten you. How to make decisions wisely and clearly. Okay, if you could join me live tomorrow. We're going to try to be here at 9 a.m. Eastern time tomorrow, and we're going to be on and off till noon tomorrow as well. Please get your questions in tomorrow on Friday because I will be off all next week. And Avery, I'm happy to critique that video. I'll look for it on Facebook as well. I'm TJ Walker. Thanks. See you tomorrow. And please do me a favor, like this video, share it, subscribe if you haven't yet, sign up for notifications. Even more important, go to my short form videos today and watch those, like those, share those, and spread the word. Thanks so much.